The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. This is Monica Mean, and welcome back. We are in week number 7 for the Global Success Affiliate Mentorship Group. So congratulations for making it this far. We're actually going to be diving deeper into the most effective marketing strategies that we have. So I know a lot of you really just wanted to do this 100% online, and that's fine, but where the real money is actually in direct mail marketing. But I'm going to show you how to do it to where you can have the least path of resistance, or the path of least resistance, I should say, because it's fairly easy to do once you understand how to do this. Now, mind you, I started direct mail marketing back in the mid-90s. I've become very, very good at this. So when I share with you my expertise, please note that you're getting it from probably one of the most mainstream experts that you can get this information from. And the ones that are out there that are doing it are not teaching you how to do it because they want to hoard these secrets for themselves. So let me give you a little bit of backstory about how mail order, if you will, that's what this used to be called back in the day, thanks to Melvin Powers and his book about mail order millions. That's not really the title, but he actually came up with probably one of the first mail order business books out there that you could buy. This was a long, long time ago. I want to say maybe circa the 1980s. And I always had a real keen interest and fascination with mail order, or the idea of mail order. So I always studied as much as I possibly could back as long as I can remember, and then actually began to build my own multi-million-dollar kitchen table businesses, only starting with a few $100s for each business. And so even though a lot has changed, fast forward to the late 90s and then the early 2000s when the internet started to become a thing, and then the mid-2000s when internet marketing actually became profitable for people, a lot of people, even Fortune 500 companies, took a back seat to doing the direct mail marketing campaigns. Then come to find out, fast forward to now, a lot of these companies have come back into the picture when it comes to direct mail marketing because they found that, marketing on the internet has its severe limitations. In fact, it only has a reach of a certain type of person, a certain person that's looking for a certain thing. And you're going to find that the vast majority of your customers, especially if you're trying to target baby boomers and others, they're not really going to be looking for your product. And if they are online, they're not going to be looking for your product online. And so this is where direct mail marketing comes into play, and where it actually becomes, I guess you could say, a major player in the game here, because most of us don't get as much mail as we used to, especially with most companies cutting back on their marketing expenses and going for just marketing online, when in all due actuality it evens out in the end. In fact, it can actually be cheaper to advertise and market offline through direct mail, because the cost per click has become so high with Google AdWords, with Facebook and all the others, and you think you're saving all this money when you're doing online marketing, and at the end of the day, you're not. You're not actually saving any money. In fact, you're, in many cases, in some cases, losing money depending on the project or the campaign or the product that you're selling. It just all depends on what you're doing or what you're trying to do, what your goals are. So I wanted to present to you direct mail marketing strategies and secrets, because this is where the rubber meets the road. If you want to get into some major bucks doing this, you're going to have to do direct mail marketing, and I'm going to show you the easiest and simplest way to do it. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you direct mail marketing strategies and secrets, and show you exactly how to make vast amounts of money with direct mail marketing. And the reason you're going to be able to set yourself apart from everybody else out there is because most people, especially the small kitchen table business people and the affiliates and so forth, are not willing to go the extra mile and do this type of marketing. So you'll essentially be able to get all the money while they're not, because everybody's trying to battle it out on the online marketing platforms, and they're not willing to put out the extra time, effort, and energy to make their money offline. And this is where the bulk of the money is going to be made if you're willing to use this strategy. So let us begin with this. I'm going to show you exactly what you're looking forward to, exactly what this encompasses. And I'm going to show you how to do this quickly and easily without you actually putting a single stamp on a single piece of mail, having other companies that I've found over the years, trustworthy companies that are very difficult to find, that I'm going to be giving you at the very end of this presentation in the form of resources. So there's two key direct mail marketing strategies that you need to know. There's first the postcard marketing strategy, which is the cheapest and easiest way to get started as in on or offline rather marketing. with your campaign for offline marketing. And the first class stamp for right now is 35 cents for what we call a live first class stamp. Versus 50 cents right now for a live first class stamp to mail an envelope, provided that envelope is 1 ounce or less in weight. So there is a 15-cent difference between the two. And then, of course, if you do pre-sorted first class, it's going to be a lot lower than that 35 cents, which I'm going to show you a little later. Now, if you're using companies like a company called Handy Mailing, this is the most reliable, most honest letter house out there. And they do printing, and they also can mail all of your pieces for you. And so my contact there, his name is Ryan Newfield, and you can contact him. You can go to the website handymailing.com, and it's just call the company. They're located in Wichita, Kansas, and they will do all of the printing. They will provide the permit number to do pre-sorted first class, or even if you wanted to do third class standard, which used to be called bulk rate back in the day. I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between those, but they will do everything for you, and they are the most reliable, most honest company that I've found. I've actually been involved in lawsuits back in the day. We're talking mid-2000s with direct mail letter houses, we call them, that actually print your mailing pieces for you, and then they put them in the mail for you. And I've actually been involved in multi-million-dollar lawsuits for their failure to actually put the mail in the stream of mail, if you will. It basically taking it to the post office. What they start to do at some point is skim off the top, meaning that they'll take 90% of your mail, they'll mail it, sometimes 80, sometimes 70%, and then they will not mail the rest of it to save on their printing and postage costs. But meantime, they turn in a form to you stamped by the U.S. Postal Service, so it looks like an official form, and you think that they mailed everything out. In reality, they did not. And so I found that it's very hard to come by when it comes to a trustworthy company, and Handy Mailing is the most trustworthy that I've found. I've had a business relationship with them for a while, and they will actually send out all the pieces that they say they're going to send out. So if you order a mailing list, which we're going to talk about as we go along, and say it's 5,000 pieces, they will mail all 5,000 of those pieces. You don't have to worry about them skimming 500 off just to save on postage and printing. You don't have to worry about any of this with these people. These are the most reliable company out there, and it took me years to find these people. And again, I went through multi-million-dollar lawsuits with different companies that failed to put the mail in the mailing system as they claimed, and it's just a really long battle. And going through a lawsuit like that is any kind of lawsuit you want to go through, it's just a painful experience. And so you really don't want to go that route. So if you're not willing to lick stamps, back in the day we actually had to lick stamps. For all of you millennials out there who think everything's peel and stick now, we actually had to lick stamps back in the day. So if you don't want to lick stamps or peel and stick stamps and mail anything, then these are the guys you want to use, because they will print your piece and they will mail it out for you. All you have to do is provide the piece, which I will give you. Actually, on your flash drive already, you already have your skincare pieces and your weight loss pieces on your flash drive. And so you'll have the stuff already done for them as far as art. They can also jazzy up your art a little bit. Ryan is my contact there again, and he also is really good at graphic design. So if you find that you need to spice up the postcard a little bit and you need it to look a little nicer or better, he can spice it up for you, and he'll charge either a very little fee or no fee, depending on how many mailers you're going to be mailing out with him. So he's a really good guy. And Alex is another guy over there that's also my contact. Really good people to work with. So again, if you're looking for someone to print and mail your postcards or any of your mailings for you, Handy Mailing is definitely the way to go. And again, they're based out of Wichita, Kansas. The alternative is your envelope mailing, which means that you're basically putting something in an envelope and mailing it. It can be a number 10 envelope. It can be an invitation-looking envelope. As long as it's 1 ounce or less, you can mail it with 50 cents right now is the postage rate. And again, it's a little bit more than what you're going to be paying for a postcard. But this is the way I tend to do things. I do still do postcard mailings for certain offers, which I'm going to show you as we go along. But I found that spending the extra money on this allows it to actually not only get to the recipient, but also to have the recipient open it. It has a 100% open rate, provided that it gets to the recipient's mailbox. And so postcards tend to get thrown away more often. I'm going to show you a secret behind having your postcard not get thrown away and have people respond to it as we go along. I'm going to show you which types of postcards people will respond to versus the ones that they'll throw in the trash. And so I'm going to show you the difference between the two, and then you can decide if you want to actually do the postcards, which is the easiest, cheapest, and most effective way of getting your stuff out there quickly for your drive to your online marketing campaign, which that's what we're doing. We're doing offline to online marketing, where we're taking an offline marketing campaign and we're driving your prospects online to your money funnel. And so postcards is the fastest way of getting that up and running. And then it's a little bit slower of a process to get it into what we call the invitation style mailings. But I'm going to show you how that works as well. So it's a little bit more expensive to do it. You could send what we call a check style mailing, which makes it look like it's a check that's in a double window envelope. And there's a live first class stamp on it. It's not metered. It's not pre-sorted. It's a live first class stamp. So it's going to cost you a little more to get these done and out there. But we want people to think that it's a real check. Or you can do what we call the invitation style mailer. This is what I've been doing a lot of lately, where it looks like it's a party invitation. It could be a birthday card look to it. It could be, any kind of, anniversary party, any kind of party invitation. And you basically have the invitation that goes in there, and people think it's a real invitation. Again, this is another thing that gets what we call a live stamp. There's no meter mail. There's no pre-sorted bulk stickers or anything on there. It looks like a real live invitation. And I actually go to the extra mile. I don't use flags on these mailers. Like the check mailer, for example, I will use a U.S. flag. But whenever I deal with an invitation style mailer, I will use commemorative stamps, or I'll use love stamps, or any other stamp other than a U.S. flag. And so that's the difference between the two as far as how I mail them. But it's still a first class live stamp. There's no meter mail on these. So that's the general rule that I have for any kind of envelope marketing campaign. You don't want to have those pre-sorted first class stamps that are not canceled out on there. And you certainly do not want to have meter mail or any kind of U.S. Postal Service symbol on there to show that it's a bulk mailer or that you're pre-sorted first class. So you want it to make it look like it's real. And the only way to do that is to have a live stamp on it. So it takes more time, obviously more money, because you're not getting a pre-sorted first class or a bulk rate on these, which again, it used to be called bulk rate or third class mail. Now it's called standard mail. Same difference though. It's all the same thing. It takes forever to get there. And you get a discount. So if you're going to be doing any kind of pre-sorted standard or pre-sorted first class, the general rule here is that it's going to be for postcards only. You're not going to be doing that for these envelope marketing pieces. Okay. So why postcards to start? Well, all of you will probably start off with postcards. They are very effective and efficient. And it's the best way to quickly get an offline marketing campaign out there to drive your traffic to your online money funnel website. It's your cheapest and fastest way to start. It drives your traffic. It drives a lot of traffic to your website within a very short period of time. And you can easily make a boatload of money just doing these postcards, because everybody else, especially all the affiliate marketers out there, are too busy trying to use the path of least resistance of basically just pressing the easy button and trying to make tons of money online. And if you're willing to put in just a tiny, tiny bit extra effort, you'll be able to beat all of those people out, because there's a lot of people out there that just don't go online anymore. I know for my own self, I try to analyze my own buying habits and how they've changed just in the last year. I mean, forget the last year, just in the last 6 months. I've not been going on Facebook that much anymore, if at all. Maybe I'll go on once every 3 or 4 weeks. I used to go on like every day. I used to have the app for Facebook on my phone. Now I don't. I deleted it. I don't do as many I don't do as many searches online to look for things, to buy things anymore like I used to. I used to use Google all the time to buy stuff. Now I just don't anymore. I go to Amazon basically for everything. So I try to analyze my own buying habits as an insatiable consumer, just like many other Americans are, and try to see, okay, well, how have my buying habits changed? And if I want to capitalize on the market today, what do I need to do? Well, let's analyze myself. And so you should probably have your product on Amazon. Because everybody's using Amazon as a search engine now. You should probably do offline marketing, because people are really not going online to buy stuff. I mean, they don't get me wrong, they are, especially the millennial generation. But let me remind you, the millennial generation is the one that doesn't have the money. And if you're going to be selling the California Glow skincare products, you're not going to be targeting a 25-year-old anyway. You're going to be targeting somebody that's 40, 45 plus. And so my generation, Generation X, is a generation that is on the fence between the millennial and the baby boomer generation. So we do both. We go online and shop. We also respond to catalogs and direct mail marketing, just as the baby boomers do. But we also go online and do stuff as well. Now, the baby boomer generation is a little different. They really do a lot of things offline, and that's going to be the bulk of where you're going to be targeting your skincare stuff. Now, if you're doing weight loss stuff, a lot of it's going to be probably your Gen Xers, even some millennials. So you do need to take into account the different marketing strategy that comes along with different products and marketing campaigns for different products. And so, please note that that's the first order of business for you to figure out is what product am I going to be marketing first, and how is the market going to respond, and who is the market, who is my target market, and how do they respond. So baby boomers are mostly offline. Gen Xers like myself are both, and then your millennials are mostly online. So keep that in mind. Now, also remember too, the millennials really don't have a lot of expendable income, I should say rather. So keep that in mind, that if you want your target audience to be a bunch of millennials who are mostly living in their parents' basements and don't really have a good job or enough to make significant purchases, you're probably going to be painting yourself in a corner with that type of marketing strategy. So I'm not saying that's not going to work. I'm just saying we need to give the millennials a few more years to get their stuff together, if you know what I mean, before we start to roll out massive marketing campaigns for that group. A lot of marketers haven't quite figured out the group. My daughter is a Generation Z, so she's basically the unnamed generation at this point. And I told her not to feel bad if they don't name her generation, because if you think about Generation X, they never named us either. We never got a name either. So my daughter's actually Generation Z, which is people that were born in 2005 and later. So I start to study how she responds to things, and a lot of what she is responding to is stuff on YouTube. So if you are willing and able and want to focus at some point on focusing your target market on millennials, and it's going to be through your YouTube campaigns, which is done through, as we've discussed before, Google AdWords. And so, not to say that baby boomers don't respond to that. They do, but not as often. And then your Generation X, though, would be more responsive to your YouTube videos. So that's what I study. I study these things very closely. I know a lot of my older marketing cohorts, they are not as concerned with your millennial generation, because they figure they'll be retired within the next 10 years and they can care less about millennials. They just want to target their Gen Xers and baby boomers. But I don't know about you. I plan on still being in the marketing game 20 years from now, maybe even longer than that, just because I'm so fascinated with marketing. I love marketing so much, and I just love studying it. I love studying human psychology and what makes people buy, what makes people not buy. And so I imagine I'll probably be in this business a long, long time. And so, yes, I do study the things that even my marketing cohorts find a waste of time to study. And so I strongly suggest that you start thinking about these things as well. Now, I don't know which generation you guys are in. I know some of you are baby boomers, some of you are Gen Xers. I don't know if any of you are millennials, but many of us are going to be targeting our Gen Xers and baby boomers for the marketing campaigns we're going to be rolling out. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that that's a good place to be, because those are the two generations right now that have the money. Millennials, not so much. We have to probably wait another 10, 15 years for them to be of any kind of value for us at this time. So don't even really worry about so much on basically focusing on them, because they're really not our target market at this time. So if you've noticed, though, there has been an increase in mailers from large Fortune 500 companies, including, here's the irony of it, Google, even Amazon. A lot of these other solely and exclusively online marketing companies like Airbnb.com. Airbnb.com has a physical magazine that they send out. Google's actually doing their marketing campaigns to business owners, small business owners, through the mail to try to get business owners to do more marketing on Google. You have a lot of other so-called internet companies that are actually offline. So if that doesn't tell you anything, then I don't know what can tell you anything about the power of offline direct mail marketing. But if you have Fortune 500 companies like Google, like Amazon, like many other companies that are supposed to be quote unquote online, now going offline. I mean, look at Amazon. They just bought Whole Foods. They're going into the brick and mortar store business when they're supposed to be solely and exclusively online. And it's because they're seeing a future trend of people disconnecting. There's a disconnect. Facebook is noticing it. Amazon is clearly noticing it. And these are multi-billion-dollar online companies who are noticing the online disconnect happening now. So they're starting to brace themselves. Well, Facebook, not so much. They're not bracing themselves yet. But Amazon certainly is bracing themselves for the online disconnect to offline again. So that's why they invested in Whole Foods. And they're going to be investing in more brick and mortar companies as well. And so it's because they're seeing that there's a trend of disconnect online. And it's just going to keep getting worse. The chasm is going to grow wider because I think people are starting to feel very off balance mentally and emotionally. They're certainly feeling a level of depression. This has been actually studied. Those that have been on Facebook, they feel like they're depressed because all their friends and family are only posting the highlights of their life. They're certainly not posting the picture of them in front of bankruptcy court showing that they filed for bankruptcy that day. They're only showing the highlights and the happiness of their life, the family party, the wedding, the vacation. They're not posting anything negative, but they've found that it's having a psychologically negative effect on people when they're constantly exposed to Facebook. So a lot of people are purposely disconnecting. I know I have, and I know a lot of others have followed. And I've noticed also too, the more people make as far as income goes, the less they're online. And the more you're going to have to do offline marketing campaigns to reach these people. Now, obviously, the people that have money are the people that are going to be able to buy your products and services, correct? So if you're only online, guess what? You're only going to be targeting the people that are not as wealthy or as well off as the ones that are only offline now. So you're going to find that as the years go by, there's going to be more and more of a disconnect that's going on, and it's only going to get worse. And that means that once you get yourself a foothold, you're going to have a foothold in the business of offline marketing strategies. The good news is that you'll already become an expert. You'll already become, kind of hip to the game, if you will, and you'll already have your contacts. You already know what your best mailing lists are. You'll already have all of this stuff figured out. And so you won't have to start from scratch like a lot of marketers are going to find themselves in the position of doing in the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years when they finally get their head out of their ass and figure out that the only way that they're really going to make a name for themselves and actually make boatloads of money is being offline as well. So you can have an online marketing strategy, but you also have to invest in an offline marketing strategy as well if you want long-term success in any business. Not just an affiliate marketer, but in any business at all. You might want to decide to start as an affiliate marketer, then one day decide maybe you want to roll out your own skincare line or your own weight loss products or your own products of, having nothing to do with either one of those categories, but you might decide to do that. So how integral is it going to be for you to have this education behind you where you're going to know mailing list brokers, you're going to know, your best letter houses and your best ways of getting stuff printed and the fastest ways of getting your mail out there and the best mailing list to work with. And you're going to know all of that when everybody else is finally getting their head out of their butt. You're finally going to have it all figured out. And on top of that, probably launching your own multi-million-dollar business by then with these strategies that you've been able to develop as your own. Okay. So the good news is you're learning it from the best person you could possibly learn it from to give you this, basic springboard that you're going to need to be able to ultimately catapult yourself into the type of money that you're going to want to make. However, please note that if this is addicting, especially direct mail marketing, it really gets addicting. It's almost like gambling, but at least with gambling, unlike gambling where you're not making any money, you're losing money, you're actually making money with direct mail marketing. So it actually becomes addicting because you're like, which is my next mailing list that's going to work? And how is this campaign going to roll out? And how many possible pieces of mail can I get out into the mail this week? And it just becomes a game. And it's really a fun game once you finally are able to, get a bearing on it and really become good at direct mail marketing. So the good news is I'm going to show you all the basic stuff that you need to know, including giving you the basic resources that you're going to need to be as the most successful as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time. And then it's up to you to use some of the on your flash drive, I give you, some of the marketing campaigns that you can use. Again, you can talk to Ryan or Alex at handymailing.com, and they can maybe change the piece a little to make it better or work better for you, or make it more aesthetically appealing, especially if it's a postcard. And so you'll have all the resources to be able to do all this without actually doing any of the mailing yourself, okay? So here are the pros and cons of direct mail marketing. The pros is that it's consistently effective. So as you know, the Facebook algorithms change all the time. Google AdWords changes all the time. All these online marketing platforms constantly change all the time. But direct mail marketing never changes. The numbers never change. They change maybe a fraction of a single 1%. It'll change. But other than that, it's pretty consistent. You can have what we call a very evergreen marketing campaign. Evergreen means that it can last for 10, 20 years. With online marketing, you're lucky if it lasts 10 to 30 days. As fast as everything changes, and you'll find that you'll need an office full of people to be running your online marketing campaigns because they change so quickly. However, you only need one successful sales letter, and it could be the same sales letter, can be the same postcard that you can mail year after year after year and not even change a single word of it, and just keep getting new mailing lists that you rent and just keep getting it out in the mail, and it constantly works, and everybody comes to your website, and you don't even have to change your website. The website can be evergreen too, and people go through the funnel, and people, buy the product, and you're making money. So that's what I love about direct mail marketing, is that, there's really no government restrictions on it. You won't have to worry about the government, especially right now, anytime soon, making any of these restrictions or changes to direct mail marketing. So the pros is that you can basically mail anything you want, and it won't change, and it's not really monitored so closely as online marketing strategies are. You're not doing anything wrong or illegal, but the government sometimes swoops in on certain companies that are obviously doing things that are borderline legal. But when it comes to offline marketing, first of all, I would never provide you with anything that is legally devastating or detrimental to you or illegal. But it takes a lot to really piss off the government for them to want to come down on you. The biggest issue that I've noticed over the years, which is not going to be something you're going to be concerned with, is the mail enhancement business. Obviously, they started cracking down on that for obvious reasons, all of these penis enlargement pill companies and all that. But also, too, even then, there's a lot of them that are still out there. Clearly, they're a fraud. But the government doesn't crack down on any of that stuff. However, the online stuff, that's a completely different story, because it's very easily accessible for government authorities to come in and look at your stuff. Especially when you're doing online marketing campaigns, but offline, you would really have to screw up big for the government to come down on you. So as long as you understand the rules of how to make all this work, I will show you some of the numbers that you can expect, and it gets really exciting really quick. There's no limitations on how many mailing pieces you can accept for your capacity. And if you use a direct mail marketing house like handymailing.com, you can pump out 1 million pieces a month if you want. We were mailing so much at some point that we were number 3 under American Express. That's how many pieces of mail we were sending out a month. And we were up there in between 1 and 1.25 million pieces a month. That's how many we were mailing. And this is when we were using our letter house to do it. The one that ultimately ended up screwing us over, not Handy Mailing, but a different one that we ended up in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit with. And so I will tell you that, the key to making all of this work successfully is being able to have the capacity to mail out as many pieces as you possibly can, and having a trustworthy company to do it with. And that's why Handy Mailing, I'm suggesting them, because trust me, I've gone through the gamut and have failed big time when using the wrong letter shops. I've used several, and they start out usually pretty good in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they realize they can start skimming 5% here, 10% there, to save on printing and postage costs, to pad their bottom line, and you don't even notice that it's happening until one day your response just pretty much isn't anywhere near what it was in the beginning. And so that's when you figure it out. You just put 2 and 2 together, because you're always going to know what your numbers are going to be. You have calculation that you can make these numbers work. And so on your flash drive, you'll also have spreadsheets to figure out the numbers, and I'm going to show you what the spreadsheets look like as we go along through this presentation. But there's no limitations, only capacity is your limitation. And as long as you have a trustworthy letter shop like the one that I'm recommending, then the sky's the limit. See, if you're doing this in your basement and you're trying to stuff all these envelopes yourself, there's a capacity limitation. I mean, even if you hire all of the, the soccer moms on the block to help you stuff and all of the college kids to stuff, there's only so many pieces you can actually realistically get in the mail. But however, if you actually do have a letter house that's trustworthy to do this for you, like the contact that I've given you, then there's no limitation on the capacity. And then there's very, very few limitations on what you can mail. So what I was trying to talk about, or starting to talk about with the mail enhancement, is that if you have any graphic material, sexually graphic material, you do have to disclose on the outer envelope that it's sexually graphic, which, so it's a government requirement or regulation. That if you do have any pictures, graphic pictures in there, that you do have to disclose it on the envelope. Outside of that, there's very few limitations on what you can mail. Now, please note that, again, I would never put you in the direction of, peril, if you will, when it comes to getting in trouble with any government agency. I make sure that all the mailing pieces that you have are compliant. But there are certain industries that the government does look at. The good news is that they're not looking at health supplements or skincare products or anything like that. The only thing that they're really looking at right now are anything that has to do with grants or sweepstakes or any of that. So in 2016, my main mailing list broker, who is with macromark.com, it's a company on the East Coast. They originally were in New York. I think they're in Connecticut now. So they had a lawsuit with, I believe it was the state of Iowa. And Iowa had an issue with the fact that Macromark was selling mailing lists. Basically, they don't sell mailing lists, they lease mailing lists, because you can only, by rental, you can only rent them one time unless you're willing to pay a second and third fee to rent them a second and third time. So when you get a mailing list from a mailing list broker, you're only supposed to use it one time. And then if you want to use it subsequent times, you do have to pay them additional fees to use the mailing list over and over again. And so they were renting mailing lists for sweepstakes lists. And the state of Iowa decided they wanted to sue Macromark because they claimed that they were targeting older people. And that's always an issue with the government, especially, is if you're selling anything that victimizes the elderly or the poor, they have major issues with that. So they were leasing or renting these lists to this real scammy organization, probably several scammy organizations that were selling some bogus sweepstakes thing, and they held Macromark liable. Now, what's really odd about this whole thing is that usually it's the mailer that's legally responsible for these types of mailings. I don't think I've ever seen legally, that the government has ever held a mailing list broker liable for renting out the lists to a scammy mailer. And so not only did the scammy mailer or mailers go down for sending these offers to these old people for sweepstakes, the issue was that they also went after Macromark for renting these lists to these scammy sweepstakes people. And so once the one government agency sinks their teeth into you, then it makes it easier for another to go after you as well. And so in this case, after the state of Iowa sued Macromark, which, by the way, I should mention, I was with Macromark since the mid-90s they were the company I started getting mailing lists from back in the mid-90s. That's how long I've been working with them. I knew the original owner, whose name is Howard Linzer. He had retired years and years ago. But a new guy named David Klein is operating and running the company, and I've never been a big fan of this guy, quite honestly. But and so, Dave Klein is the one who's running the company now, and the U.S. government actually went in and filed a lawsuit against Macromark as well. And this happened in 2016. So my mailing list broker, Stephen Keats, was with Macromark for the last several years, and he decided to jump ship and go to a company called Reliable Lists. Well, apparently the heat got so heavy on Stephen that he decided to take a step back away from the business of renting mailing lists to people, because he's been so shaken up by the FBI questioning him, and now he's part of this whole legal thing too. Apparently every single person who worked for Macromark, down to the secretary at the front desk, was not only grilled by the FBI, but also too, some of them actually have been indicted and fined by the FBI. I mean, imagine this, working at a company who rents mailing lists, and you think it's an above board company. And it really was. I mean, Macromark didn't really do anything wrong. They just rented mailing lists to people. The scammy companies that actually mailed on those mailing lists are the ones who are actually liable. But imagine being a secretary for a company and all of a sudden you're being indicted by the FBI because you worked for the company and your name was on some of the data cards. I mean, that's what happened to some of these people that actually worked for Macromark. So it's a really scary thing. And when people tell me, oh, I don't know if I want to take the risk, being in my own business, consider the risk of working for someone, because there is a risk there as well. And unfortunately, when your boss tells you to do something, you hardly ever say no unless you want to potentially lose your job. And it's becoming a risky environment now to work for someone, because you're liable now for everything that your employer does. I knew this one lady years ago who she is being in the real estate business as long as I have been. She was a notary, and she did some notaries for her boss without seeing the person's identity. And unfortunately, those people didn't exist, and he was running a real estate scam, and she was actually ultimately indicted, and she actually had to serve 18 months prison time, and she lost her notary license. This was because her boss's activity put her in prison. So when I tell people over and over again, yeah, there's a risk in starting your own business, but hey, you get to control that risk. You get to control what you do, because in this day and age, with the FBI basically jumping down everybody's throat, it's actually considered a risk when you work for somebody now too, because you really don't have any control over what that person does behind closed doors, and the FBI can get everybody for conspiracy. So if you don't believe me, just ask any lawyer; they'll tell you that all day. Conspiracy is the open-ended, let's charge everybody with conspiracy, because you can't prove that you didn't know something unless you can somehow roll out your brain and have them look at your brain to find out what you did and didn't know. Last time I checked, they don't have that kind of medical technology yet, so it's very difficult to prove that you did and didn't do something with regard to a company or a transaction. So please note, though, that the reason I love California Glow, the skincare products, weight loss products, physical products that people receive in the mail, consider this: whatever product you decide to sell, please try to make it some physical item that people are going to receive, and that it's exactly what is described in your mailing piece. So if it's a set of skincare products, they get it in a box and they get the skincare products at their doorstep, and it's exactly how it is perceived. And if you have a money-back guarantee, you make sure that you stand behind that money-back guarantee, and you'll never get in trouble for anything. Trust me on this. I've had to deal with my own battles with the government on a variety of different things, just because of the fact that there was a lot of compliance issues that I wasn't aware of, even compliance issues that I passed through several attorneys on many cases, and on many occasions that an attorney gave it the green light for, and the government decided at some point, no, we don't feel comfortable with this. So if you are on their radar, no matter what you do, regardless of whether you work for somebody or you work for yourself, there's always going to be a risk of doing business and being in business. But the good news is, being part of an affiliate program like this, it negates the legal responsibility and legal liability, because you're just simply doing the marketing. You're not actually part of the business. You're not doing the business. And so at the very beginning of all of this, when I described to you, all the benefits of being an affiliate, one of the biggest benefits that I didn't really go into detail about is the legal aspect. Because yeah, it's nice to have a customer service handle everything for you. It's nice to have a shipping department handling everything for you, and refunds and all that stuff handled by a company. But I didn't really get into detail about the legal aspect of having your own company as well. And that's probably one of the biggest, highest levels of risk you can have being a business owner. And the cool thing about being an affiliate is that you just do the affiliate marketing, and that's it. You're not legally responsible or liable for the rest of it. So that's one of the other huge benefits of continuing on to be an affiliate. So you're kind of in the middle. You don't work for somebody, but you don't own your own business really, and you're just in the middle, and you have the best of both worlds. You can have the profit potential of having your own company, but having no legal responsibility or liability of having that company, or even working for somebody. And then of course we all know the liability and responsibility and negatives of working for somebody. You can only make a certain amount of money per hour, and there's just a lot of limitations there as well. But I didn't tell you about the legal limitations as well, which is that you could be legally responsible and liable for what your employer is doing to this this day, right now, your employer might be committing some kind of fraud or crime. And if the FBI decides to come into the office that you work at, you could very well be indicted, and there's not a damn thing you're going to be able to do for it. You would probably have to end up giving up your house for all the legal fees that it's going to cost you to try to bail yourself out of whatever your boss dug himself into. So consider that there's risk everywhere, but the cool thing about being an affiliate is all of that risk is actually negated to the side. You don't have to worry about that because the company that you're marketing for is the one that takes the legal responsibility and liability. Now, there is limitations on your part. You can't just decide to whip up any mail piece that you want and then pass it off as the company's mail piece, because then you would be at some point legally responsible for that. But as long as you use all of the marketing pieces that are provided by the affiliate company, then you're going to be golden. You're going to be good. But the reason I wanted to mention all this is because the direct mail industry is under duress right now, severe, severe duress. And the reason I mention that is because I was using Macromark for many, many years, and I recently had to work now with another company who I've known of for many years, but I just recently had to start working with them because Macromark is basically out of the picture, and so is Reliable Lists now, because Steven decided, he was my main guy doing all this, and he decided probably to take a break because he's probably going through, an emotional breakout, what do you call it, a depression right now. Where he's completely breaking down because the FBI is down his throat because of what his employer is going through right now. So please note that even though the direct mail business is under stress right now because of the lists, because of the list brokers kind of running for cover from the FBI, this is the first time it's ever happened in history. There's a little bit. It's a little bit of an issue to get lists, but I'm going to show you a resource in which to get mailing lists. That's basically the only game in town right now if you want to get stuff rolling in your business, okay? Again, this is information nobody else is going to tell you. This is information nobody else probably can tell you at this phase of the juncture right now because everything's happening so fast with the FBI and the direct mail marketing stuff that's going on with the direct mail list houses right now. And again, this is unprecedented. This has never happened before in direct mail marketing history, where the FBI has jumped down the throat of a company that's renting mailing lists. This has just never happened before. So most of you know that I'm not really a big fan of politics, and I'm certainly not a fan of who we have in the White House right now, but I'm never a fan of politicians to begin with. But I have to say that when the president does say that the government system is rigged and the FBI is rigged, I have to say I agree with him wholeheartedly on that. And the reason being is because I've gone through it myself and I've done these investigations myself, and I know what it's like, and I know how difficult it is, and I know that you can basically be guilty for anything they want you to be guilty for. So just fly under the radar. That's all you got to do. And again, it's probably more risky working for the person you're working for right now than it is to start your own business or be an affiliate for another company. That's just how bad it's getting with law enforcement and everything that's going on right now. So since you are limited to how much you can make currently at your job, then your obvious next best step is to become an affiliate for a successful company, so that you don't have to deal with the legal liability on both sides of having your own company, but also too dealing with the legal liability of doing things for your boss. He might be asking you to do things that aren't legal, or maybe he's doing something that's illegal, and maybe one day the feds are going to end up closing down his office and you have no idea. You're none the wiser. You are literally at his or her whim, your boss's whim. So unless you're working for a Fortune 500 company like Boeing or someplace like that, if you're working for a mom and pop organization or even something slightly larger, there's always a risk. So everybody's basically worried about a lot of things right now. Let's just put it that way. But the reason I brought this to your attention is because it is directly impacting the direct mail business right now. All right. So additional pros is that there's hardly any competition still with mail, because there's a lot of people that just want to do everything online, not knowing all of the money that they're leaving on the table because they're not doing an offline marketing strategy. So the cons are obviously postage is expensive and it keeps going up. Printing is expensive, keeps going up. And sometimes once in a while you'll get a bad list. Now, this is the good news about everything that's going on in this direct mail marketing business, the mailing list business right now, is that all the scumbags that have something to worry about with the feds, they're closing up shop. They're closing up shop voluntarily right now because they don't want to get caught in the crossfire. And so all of these people that were sending out watered down master files or lists that say that they had buyers on them, but really they were just a bunch of inquiries from the internet, or bogus, white page names that they threw in there. All those people are starting to voluntarily close up shop if they haven't already. So the good news is that you're only left with the most reputable people that are in the business who are going to be in business for a long time. They want to be in business for a long time, and they don't want to deal with a federal investigation right now. So that should actually be in the pros. But the cons always is that you never know if it's going to be a bad list. But you're going to find that you're going to have the same direct mail marketing list that you're going to use over and over again. They're going to update usually every quarter. Some lists will update every month. So usually they update every quarter. So every 90 days, you can expect to get a mailing list, and you're going to find that there's a lot of really good mailing lists that work over and over again. You're going to keep ordering them every single time they update into the next quarter. It's very difficult to sell lower end products. So for example, if you think that you're going to run out there and sell a $39.95 bottle of diet pills, for example, and make a bunch of money with direct mail marketing, you're probably not. You're going to, in fact, probably end up in bankruptcy court if you do that. So it's very difficult, if not impossible, to sell lower end products. Now, the reason California Glow is different, though, is because we have a funnel in which people are going through it. So they start off with the $9.95 thing, which is the free 7-day facelift kit, and then they work their way into upsell after upsell after upsell. And so your average order turns out to be in over $100, which makes this work with postcards particularly. Not so much with the invitation mailer, but with the postcards, it works exceptionally well. Obviously, it takes more labor than sending out email blasts. So you're still going to be collecting people's name with your AWeber system as they come into your funnel. But then, if you want to do some back-end sales, you probably want to, do a couple postcards to your current list, not just to your new people, but to also your old people as well that are already in the system, if you want to go so far as to do that. Letter houses usually rip you off, but I finally found one after all of these years that's reputable and above board. It's handymailing.com, which I talked about in the very beginning of this, but I'm still always cautious. Optimistically cautious is what they call it. But who cares about the cons in this? Because you can make so much money doing this that it just doesn't make sense when people tell me, I just want to do everything online. Well, why? Do you want to really do another YouTube video once a week? Maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, because that's what it takes to be able to sustain an online business, is that you constantly need new videos, you constantly need new Facebook postings, you constantly need new advertisements, and then the algorithms change, and then you got to figure all that stuff out from scratch, like what changed and what policies changed and what are they not advertising or allowing to advertise, what are they allowing to advertise. All that stuff tends to change almost by the week sometimes. And so what I like about offline marketing strategies, pretty much of every kind, as I mentioned, is that they're evergreen, and you don't have to worry about changing your marketing strategies, once a week or once every couple weeks, as you do with online marketing strategies. So back to postcards. This is actually a postcard that's on your flash drive, and this is the small postcard. And basically, as you know, a small postcard for a live stamp is 35 cents, but it's a lot less when you do something called pre-sorted first class. And that's something Handy Mailing can do for you, is that they can actually not only print these for you, but they could also send them out pre-sorted first class to get you the lowest possible rate possible. And so the reason I like pre-sorted first class over bulk or standard is that first class mail of any kind, whether it's pre-sorted or whether it has a live stamp on it, automatically gets forwarded to the new recipient's address. So if the recipient packed up their stuff over the weekend and moved to a new address, all first class mail will forward. Standard mail does not forward. It just basically gets lost in the letter pile. There's a big letter pile that goes with the U.S. Postal Service, so it doesn't get sent back to you. First class will get sent back to you if it does not make it to the recipient, even if it's pre-sorted first class. However, standard mail just basically gets thrown in a cesspool or a landfill somewhere, and it doesn't make it to the recipient if they moved, and it doesn't make it back to you either as a return address. So they're called Nixies when you get them back in the mail, and it has that yellow sticker on it because it was unable to forward to the recipient. So you get something called Nixies. Now, the cool thing about using a service like Handy Mail is that they will do something called an NCOA. And an NCOA is basically an update in the U.S. Postal Service. So basically, when you move, and you know you're going to move, you'll go to the USPS.gov website, or you'll fill out one of those postal cards in the post office and you'll mail it in to the U.S. Postal Service, the postmaster, and to change your address. So basically, if you're moving from one apartment to the other apartment, you'll change the address with the U.S. Postal Service. So the NCOA is a database that is updated through the U.S. Postal Service that tells the U.S. Postal Service what your new address is. And so all really good letter houses that mail lists out for people will do something called an NCOA, meaning that they will update all of this information, the latest information on where people moved who are on your mailing list before they'll even do the mailing list or do the print run for you. So all of these are going to be printed on, I'll show you the back side of this postcard right now. So you'll see the little blank area right there that says just pay shipping and handling right there in parentheses. You'll see that white space there. That's supposed to be where the ink-jetted name and address of the recipient is going to go. And so before they actually do the mailing for you, what they will do is do the NCOA through the list. So even if the list broker just said to you, hey, listen, we just did an NCOA, all of these lists are up to date, they're all going to tell you the same thing. Handy Mailing will actually do an NCOA again to make sure that if somebody just moved over the weekend, say, for example, right before you decided to do your mailing, that you're actually going to be sending this postcard or your mailing piece directly to the person's new address, okay? And so that's the cool thing about using a service versus trying to do this yourself, is that you're not going to have their new forward information. Now, again, if you use first class mail of any kind, pre-sorted first class or a live stamp first class, like this postcard shows a section in the corner where you put a live stamp. It's not a permit. But Handy Mail would put their permit in the corner for you. You just have to give them a postcard with a blank box, so that you just basically blank out everything in that box and they can put their own postage meter information in there. But any kind of first class mail, it doesn't matter if they decided to move over the weekend, because all first class mail will be forwarded to the recipient's new address. It's a service that's built into first class mail. It's included in the mailing fee. So the only time it's not forwarded is if it's standard. But again, if you're using a company like Handy Mailing that will do an NCOA on your mailing list right before they inkjet the names on the postcards, you're ensured that it's the latest and greatest mailing address for that recipient to ensure that he or she gets the card that you're sending out. Okay, so this is on your flash drive. This is one of the things that you can use. This is what we call a small postcard. So this is a regular postcard size. This is the size where you can, it's the smallest you can go and the largest you can go without having to pay an additional fee for an oversized postcard. So I believe it's 4 1/4 by 6. So 4.25 inches by 6 inches is the maximum size you can use for your small postcard size and use a postcard stamp. Anything larger than that is considered an oversized postcard, and it's a different rate altogether. It's not your first class postcard rate, it's a different rate. This postcard is located on your flash drive, so you don't have to worry about that. You just have to, if you're going to be using handymailing.com, you'll just have to blank out that corner so that they can put their permit number in there. So here's a recommended book on all the life and times and the wonderful financial benefits of using postcard mailing. You can actually get this at californiaglow.com/postcard, and you can download this. I actually paid for this on Amazon, this book, and then I realized later that you can get a free download of the PDF of this book. So I've given you the link on how to get the download from her website. So she actually runs her own letter house, but it's only for postcard marketing. I've never used her before. I've had students who've complained that their rates are a lot higher than others that I've recommended. So I don't really know how good they are as far as doing postcard mailings for you, but they do have the ability to do postcard mailings for you, including printing your postcards and mailing your postcards for you. But I've heard that their rates are just kind of high compared to what you can get from Handy Mailing and others. So this marketing strategy for you is as simple as understanding the numbers. Now, before I would do any kind of marketing campaign for anything, especially if it's brand new and out of the gates, I want to know what my numbers, my potential numbers are going to be. And so we just want to do some simple math elements here. And that is, what is our product price going to be? What are the amount of names that we're going to be working with and the percentage of sales? Now, I'm going to warn you right up front. The names that the mailing lists that have the least amount of names are usually your most powerful responsive lists, because the only kind of mailing lists that you're interested in are recent buyers. So you might want to write that down, because you don't want inquiry lists, you don't want master file lists, you don't want compiled lists. You only want buyers, and ideally buyers of those people that have either responded to a space advertisement in, say, a magazine or a newspaper, or even better, they've responded to a direct mail marketing piece. Buyers that have purchased things from the internet are less likely to respond. So are TV and radio buyers are less likely to respond, but I'd rather have TV infomercial buyers than internet buyers any day of the week. So as you climb up the ladder and do more and more mailings as time goes on, you're going to have to start reaching outside of the perfect mailing list. So the perfect mailing list is a buyer list that has purchased a product that you're trying to sell. So in this case, it's a skincare product, for example. You want buyers of other skincare products within the last 90 days or so. You don't want inquiries. You don't want, freebie internet names. You certainly don't want compiled or master file names, because usually they're old or they're phone book names. We don't want that. We want buyers of the same type of product that we're about to try to sell them. Okay, that's the rule. So you start off with those that are sourced. They call it a source. So they're sourced from either direct mail marketing campaigns or space ads. That's what we start off with. And then later on, when you need more and more names, you're going to have to extend out of that comfort zone and go with infomercial names, because there's so many of them. I mean, Guthrie Rinker alone has a ton of buyers for their crepe erase product, which is their most successful current infomercial right now. And then, of course, there's Cindy Crawford anti-aging product. So those are awesome names too, because they're buyers and they're obviously interested in skincare products. So that would be your next step. So you want to start off with your small lists, which are going to be really small, from your mom and pop skincare companies that have been doing direct mail pieces. So you start off with those. Lists that are under 5,000 names tend to pull and are much more responsive than those that are over 5,000 names. And again, we're looking for buyers only. Don't ask me how I know this. It's just been 20 plus years of being in the business to know that those smaller lists will always outpull the bigger list. So even if you have a list that only has 1,000 names on it, good, you want that list. Don't tell yourself, well, I don't want to waste my time on it because it's only 1,000 names. No, those little 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 name lists are the best, most responsive lists. And then when you start getting to 5, 10,000, 20,000 names, it becomes more and more watered down as time goes on, depending on how large the lists are. If you can get monthly hotline lists, that's even better, because they just bought the same product within the last 30 days. But your smaller lists are always going to be your best pulling list. So when using a regular envelope, like for example the invitation style envelope or even the check style envelope, your cost is going to be 50 cents. You want to use a live stamp. You want to be able to funnel people through a system that can at least make you $197. So this is why with the skincare products, we're not recommending the use of the invitation mailer or even the check mailer, unless, of course, you're going to go to the flash drive and use the one mailer that I have in there, which I'm going to show you in a minute what it looks like, where you can actually use the check mailing, the check style mailing, to be able to get to this price point. So if you're going to do postcards, these are perfect for when you're pushing people through the funnel, and you're going to be getting anywhere from like a $79 to $99 price point total when they go through. Of course, if you're doing information products, it's easy to get a $97 download. If you're doing health supplement products, for example, if you wanted to do the affiliate skincare download product, you want to make sure that you're at around the $79 to $99 price point when everything's said and done. And then, of course, additional upsells. You want to be able to push people through the funnel to where you're making that kind of dollar amount to make the numbers work. Of course, products are the key things. You don't want to be selling services, and this could be any type of product that's considered a hot product at this time, which we've been talking about nothing but in the last several sessions here. So the amount of names, of course, as I mentioned, you need to have what's called a rollout value on your direct mail marketing campaign. You want to be able to eventually at some point kick out 100,000 pieces a week. And so are you going to be able to scale it to that size? The good news with skincare, though, as I just talked about, there is a scalable element to that, because I just talked about the Guthrie Rinker names and being able to get the names for their crepe erase product, and being able to get the buyers for the Cindy Crawford skincare line. So there's rollout value with skincare. There's rollout value with weight loss. There's rollout value with a lot of things. Like, for example, if you wanted to be an affiliate for, say, an investing product of any kind, there's huge amounts of names of investors or people that want to invest in stock trading and real estate investing and all that. There's all of those lists. So all of these types of hot products that I've been describing are all scalable so that you can actually send out 100,000 pieces or more per week if you actually want to, push yourself up to that level. You want the most recent buyer list. And again, as I mentioned already, they are updated every quarter. Some will update monthly, but the vast majority of them will update every quarter. Your smaller lists that I've just talked about, the small lists are your best. Also, too, when you start your small marketing operation, you're only going to be doing about 5,000 pieces a week or 20,000 names a month. That's 60,000 a quarter. This is bare minimum, by the way. And again, if you're starting to panic and break out in hot sweats or cold sweats or whatever kind of sweats that you're breaking out into right now, please again note that I do have a letter house that is very reliable that can get all this mail out for you. So you never have to see the mail. You never have to touch the mail. You don't have to put a stamp on any of the mail. You don't do anything except just orchestrate all of the purchase of the direct mail marketing leads from the mailing list broker, who I'm going to refer in a second at the very end of this, so that you'll know exactly who to get these lists from. So, again, you want to push this up as high as you can to be able to get your numbers. Now, percentages of sales. Some campaigns will pull 0. It's very rare when it happens. It sucks when it happens. But again, now that a lot of the scammy direct mail, I guess you could say, list brokers are being pushed out of the business by the FBI. That's the only good news about this whole thing. You won't have to deal with those watered down campaigns anymore because they're really rare to come by. They would literally be having to sell phone book names to be able to get a watered down list that bad. And I've noticed that the good news about this whole federal raid on all of these, these list brokers is that it's pushing all the bad apples out. They should have been pushed out years ago, and now they're finally having to leave by force, okay? So you want to do your first test. It's going to be between 2,500 and 5,000 names for your very first mailing. You can do these postcards yourself. There's a company called there's a couple companies, Printing Center USA. So it's printingcenterusa.com. They can do your postcards for you. They can print them out for you, your first batch of 5,000. Or you can go to printsmadeeasy.com. So it's printsmadeeasy.com or printingcenterusa.com. I've used both companies. I use them both frequently for a lot of my marketing materials, and they're really good companies to work with. They can do postcards for you relatively cheap. And if you want to do this in your basement, the first couple of mailings, just to make sure this works before using a letter house, that's probably recommended. Use a live stamp instead of a meter. And you want to use the regular size postcard to do that. So what you can expect is, like right now, for example, my average, it depends on what I'm doing. Like, for example, the 7-day facelift, I usually get about 6% response that will actually go to the website. Now, not everybody buys. By the time they get there and they realize, oh, I have to pay shipping and handling, and then some people drop out. So I usually get about 3% of people that go through the funnel on a mailing of the 7-day facelift. Now, please note, though, that I've used both the postcard and both the invitation. And the good news is that the postcard works almost as well as the invitation, not as well, but basically with the trade-off of the cost per stamp, if you will, the postcard actually technically works better. So that's the good news with that. But you get a decent response of people coming through and wanting the free 7-day facelift. So that is a really good, solid marketing campaign. So anytime you're offering something for free like that, you're going to get anywhere from 3 to 6% of people responding. Now, if you're telling people that they're going to have to pay for something, or that they're going to get to the website and pay for something, then expect about 1.5%. I'll get sometimes upwards of 2%, but that's usually a really, really good rare list. But the average is between 1.33 and 1.5%. So for example, I did my most recent direct mail marketing campaign with an invitation mailer. It was not for a skincare product. It was for an info product. And I was able to get 1.5%. But the upsells on the back end were so extremely high, and the response rate was so high on the one-time only offer click-throughs that it actually made a lot of money on the front end. And so that's what you're aiming for, is doing these types of mailings where you can actually make a ton of money on the front end as well as the back end. So don't ever assume, though, that you're going to get the 2% or the 3% or the 6% or any of the percentages. Usually on average, I'll get 1.5% unless I'm offering a free product. Then I'll get anywhere from 3 to 6%. You want to make sure that you can break even at the 0.5%. No more than 1% in sales, because I will tell you that it's okay to actually lose money on the front end. We're going to be adding a new one-time only offer into the 7-day facelift, like basically any second now, where they're going to be going into an auto bill system, where they're going to be getting the 30-day facelift every single month, and you'll be able to get commissions on that, by the way. And so that means that you can actually technically break even or even lose a little bit of money on the front end, especially when people will stay on the auto ship program on average, usually about 3 months. And so that will make you quite a bit of money. So we're adding that into the funnel as we speak, and it actually should be part of the funnel, like I said, any second now. So you'll be able to make money on the auto shipment. So we're going to be adding that to every single California Glow product, where there's going to be some kind of, or any of the affiliate programs that we have, there'll be a monthly auto bill program that you'll be able to make money on every single month. And that's the key to all of this. Is imagine having 100 people on some kind of auto bill program at any given time, and you're making, anywhere from 25% to 50% of that auto bill amount, and that can add up to be a lot of money every single month, to where you can coast for a month or two and not do any marketing and take a little bit of a break. Now, of course, they do fall off at some point. Somewhere between the 3 and 6 month mark, people fall off the auto bill. So you don't want to just coast forever. This is not a retirement plan. You do have to continue on with a marketing strategy of some kind to keep getting new blood and new people into your funnel. But you can coast and take a little bit of a breather when you know that you have all that auto money coming in, the auto billing money. And that's basically them getting a fresh new set of the product every single month, and their credit card is automatically billed. So that's the key to all of this, especially in the California Glow side, is having that auto bill element there. So here's the unbreakable rules for any kind of mailing list, and that is you must get a buyer list. You do not want compiled lists, universe lists, master files, or especially inquiry lists. Inquiry lists is basically people wanting a free catalog or some kind of free information. That's bogus, that's stupid, and those are not responsive people. You want people that actually bought something, and not only did they buy something, but they bought another like product, like the one you're trying to sell them now. The thing about people is that you might think, oh, well, they already bought this product for somebody else. They already bought this health supplement from somebody else, or this skincare product for somebody else. Well, no, just because they bought it from somebody else doesn't mean they don't want it anymore. It means that they're an insatiable customer, and they will continue buying other like products like that. Trust me, I buy all kinds of skincare products. I have my own, but I also buy other people's just to see if somebody has got something better out there than what I have. And I'm constantly looking for different products. And so I constantly keep buying more skincare products. Same with pretty much anybody else who's 40 something plus. They don't just stop at one product. They keep buying additional products. So when they're a buyer, and they're going to be buying more of the same type of product over and over again. You don't want to get a list that stopped updating 6 months or a year ago. Updates mean that the company's consistently giving the mailing list broker new names every single quarter because they're still in business and they're still selling their own products to people. But when they stop updating, it means that they've probably stopped all their business activities or stopped selling that particular product line, and they're not updating it anymore because they're not selling the product anymore. And so we don't want really old lists. Now, the exception to the rule is that if it's been a really good list to you all this time, or maybe you're running out of names, then you can always have your people at Handy Mailing do an NCOA on that list, so that if it's a year-old list, at least they can get the updated addresses of the people that moved on that list, so that you can mail it again out to those people. But a list that's been updating consistently for 2 or more years is always going to be better than one that's just brand new to the market. If a list is brand new to the market, some marketers want to jump on it. I usually just hang back to see who's going to be continuing on that list and who's going to keep reordering the list, because marketers that keep reordering on the list over and over again, it means that it's working. And I just wait till everybody else uses themselves as the guinea pig test. And then I'll go in maybe 6 months or a year later after the test has been proven that, if the list has been proven to be successful for other marketers, because your mailing list broker will tell you what the usage is. And when it says usage and there's a list of companies, those are the list of companies that have been using the list over and over and over again every single time it updates, and usually over the course of 6 months to a year. So if there's a whole long list of companies on the usage list that have been using the mailing list over and over again, and they get the list every single quarter or every single month like clockwork, when it comes out, that means that's a very responsive list, and that can give you a clue on how successful you could potentially be with that same list. As I mentioned before, your smaller list of under 5,000 names are going to be your most powerful buyer list than the ones that are over 5,000. I don't know why 5,000 is the magic number, but it tends to be the magic number. And then also, too, you might want to take your first test mailing and use the most tiniest list you can get your hands on. Like it might even only be 800 names or 1,200 names, and use that as your test mailing list for your first postcard or invitation mailing. As I mentioned, the longer the usage of companies that have been using the list over and over again when it updates, the better the list is going to be, because they've already proven it to be successful, which is why they keep coming back for more every quarter or every month. And you want to start off with a direct mail sourced or generated set of leads. You don't want, again, to start off with internet derived leads, because those are the worst type of leads to mail to. They're not as responsive as already proven direct mail order recipients and mail order buyers. In the beginning, you want to avoid TV, infomercial, and internet generated leads. You'll expand out to these later. Infomercial leads are really good when you run out of, obviously, direct mail marketing leads, because you're going to be able to get a lot of names, like the Guthrie Ranker names I was talking about. You can test out space ad or display ad buyers. These will work and perform much like the direct mail buyers will. The average unit of sale, many of the data cards will have a unit of sale. You want to start off with your first list being maybe around $97 or 70 something dollars. Obviously, the higher the better. And this is the last product that they purchase. So, for example, if you're looking for a skincare list and it says the average unit of sale is $50 versus the average unit of sale is $200, obviously choose the one that's $200, because that means they spent an average $200 on the skincare product, so they don't really think that cost is an issue, versus the $50 or even worse, the $10 purchaser. That means that they're a super cheapskate, and it's probably going to be harder for you to sell a more expensive item. So based on, extensive research that I've done, extensive experience in this business, these are your best products in both sides, both information publishing as well as what we call consumer direct, health supplement consumable, that's the word I'm looking for, consumable. So information side, anything that has to do with starting a home business or starting some kind of business or any kind of financial thing is always going to be the best types of products to sell on the information publishing side. Credit, of course. And these are all things, by the way, that I cover in Global Success, which you'll be able to have access to. And I should also mention that you'll be able to download later on all of the templates for the postcards and the direct mail campaigns when you go to your action sheet later on today on your members only site. So you'll be able to get all of that stuff for the Global Success Affiliate Program. But these are your best information publishing products. And again, I cover all of these with the Global Success side. These are the most successful things to sell, regardless of whether you're selling online or offline. And then, of course, health products, your male sexual enhancement, but I already warned you guys about that. These are really good. And also, too, what I didn't mention is obviously the skincare stuff and the weight loss stuff as well. So my very best postcard campaign for the Global Success kind of looks like this. You have a template that's updated to show the free book that they get on the template downloads that you'll be able to download in your members only area later on today. But this is the one that's worked the best. It's a small postcard, so it's the cheapest one to mail. And I mail it out to people that are part of business opportunity types of lists. You can even go so far as to do credit lists if you want to, but I found the most success with business opportunity types of lists. So your standard maximum size postcard to be able to get the first class postcard rate is 4 1/4 by 6. I think before I said 4.5 by 6. It's actually 4.25 by 6. And it costs about 5 cents each to print. Some are less. Now, if you're going to be doing pre-sorted first class, it's going to be less than the 35-cent rate. I believe it's 29 or 30 cents right now for the pre-sorted rate. You'll have to double check. Handy Mailing will tell you what the current pre-sorted first class rate is. And so you can see on this postcard, at the bottom postcard, you see that there's the insignia from the U.S. Postal Service. You print those on your cards. Now, they're going to print their own. If you do use Handy Mailing Service, it's going to say Wichita, Kansas on it and not probably where you're from. But since we process a lot of our mail in-house, we do have our own permit number through the Santa Clarita Post Office. And that's our permit number. It's permit 700. And so, they're going to put their own postage permit number on there. So when you give them the art, you're going to blank out that section there for their meter to go there. Or if you use first class stamps, you're just going to basically put a stamp there in that little box area. And so basically you just drive the traffic to the website. You capture their name and an email address. For any of the promotions that you want to send out through AWeber. And then basically you push them into the funnel and you push them as the affiliate into. Now this particular one was for a $97 course. Yours is going to be different because I actually upped the price so that you can be very profitable with this. And so the funnel actually is, and your postcard is going to look different than this one. And that is, it's going to have the free Business Credit Millionaire book that they can get, but they go to the site, they have to pay shipping and handling for it, and the upsell is the actual Build Business Credit course, and there's one other upsell, it's for the Mother Lode Resource Directory. And so you'll be making a lot more money than what I made on this postcard campaign. But this has been my most successful and easiest and cheapest postcard campaign to send out, and that's why I wanted to give you an idea of what this looks like. I averaged a profit of 50 cents per postcard, and that was made after expenses. That's how successful this particular campaign was. And I don't do it anymore because you guys are going to be doing it now, because you have now an upgraded version of the postcard that works extremely well. So I've already tested and proven this for you. All you need to do is plug in your business credit related website that you're going to hook up to the funnel clones that we talked about last week. Hopefully you downloaded those in there. Hopefully you've been able to hook all those together using all of the information that I've given you over the past several weeks. And yours is going to actually make more money than 50 cents per postcard, because the upsells are greater than only making $97, just based on what's in the, I guess you could say what's in the, what you're downloading later on your templates, and as well as through the funnel upsells. Oversized postcards. I love oversized postcards because these are what gets my attention. Like when people send a postcard to me in the mail, again, I look at my own purchasing habits as a buyer, and I only respond to postcards that are oversized. Now, the good news about oversized postcards is that when you do pre-sorted standard, now remember, if you use a company like handymailing.com, they will do an NCOA for you. So you don't have to worry about the system, the U.S. Postal Service system, forwarding the mail, because they only forward first-class mail. And I don't know about you, but I don't really care about getting a bunch of postcards sent back to me that don't make it to the recipient. They would end up in the trash anyway. So you don't ever get any of the pre-sorted standard stuff back, and it's never forwarded to the recipient if they move. However, if you do use a service like handymailing.com, they will do an NCOA on your mailing list. Even if your mailing list broker said it was just done yesterday, it doesn't matter, you do it anyway. And so they will do it again to make sure that anybody that moved and updated their address within the U.S. Postal Service, they will now be sent this new mailing piece, which is the oversized postcard. And they'll actually receive it without it bouncing or being sent back or not being able to be delivered. So they handle all that stuff for you. Now, the good news about oversized postcards is they're actually cheaper to mail out than a first class stamp that you would put on a mailer. In fact, it's actually cheaper to send these out than the first class stamp you'll use with a live stamp on a postcard. So as you recall, the postcard rate right now is 35 cents for a 4¼ by 6-inch piece of a postcard. And it's 35 cents to mail that if you put a live stamp on it. However, to mail these oversized postcards will cost you around 30 cents or so, 31 cents, depending on a variety of different factors, including how much mail is going to certain locations, etc. And they figure all that out for you through the handymailing.com. They will do all that for you. You don't have to worry about any of that because they have systems in place that actually meter all the mail out and figure out how much a mailing will cost. And so it's actually under the amount that it costs to send out a first class smaller one. Now, as I mentioned before, I always analyze myself as a buyer, and I only respond to oversized postcards. I never respond to small postcards. I get all those cheesy looking, 4¼ by 6" BizOp type of postcards in the mail, regardless of whether they're yellow with just black ink on them or whether they're color. It doesn't matter to me. I throw them all away. I don't even look at them. However, every single time I get an oversized postcard, not only do I look at it, but in many occasions, I've actually responded to them. I've actually done what the call to action is. It's called the CTA, call to action. There should only be one on your postcard, and it drives your customers and prospects to do one thing. And in all of the postcards that are given to you, it just drives them to the website. So they're only given one thing. Go to this website to get this thing. That's it. You don't present 20 different things for them to do. You don't say call this number or go to this website, or you don't tell them all of that. You just give them one CTA, one call to action, and that is to drive traffic to the website. And so oversized postcards actually work a lot better than your smaller postcards, and they're actually cheaper to mail when you send these pre-sorted standard than when you send a smaller postcard pre-sorted first class. It's actually cheaper to mail these oversized ones. And I'll show you what they look like. They're approximately, I think, 5½ inches tall by 11 inches wide, to be able to get the rate of around 30 cents a piece, which again is cheaper than sending the first class at 35 cents a piece for the smaller cards. And so it will definitely get much more attention. It takes longer to get there because it's considered bulk mail. So your first class postcard usually takes about 3 to 5 days to get to its recipient. These will take upwards of anywhere from 10 days to 3 weeks. But if you don't care about the lead time, and you're in this to win this, and it's going to make it to the recipient eventually, then this is definitely the way to go, is oversized postcard, because it will get much more attention from your prospects than the little postcard ever will. This is one of my more successful ones, and I'm going to explain to you why this wasn't as successful as the newer one that we use. And the reason being is because a lot of people that are interested in real estate investing, including the BizOp crowd, they really don't see the value and the benefit of buying an apartment building. They think it's just kind of way out of their reach. They think that it's just something that they wouldn't be able to do. And so they don't really respond as much as what we call a blind postcard. So this is what the front looks like on the top, and the back is at the bottom. And we used this one for about a year. And then I decided to do an A/B split test and realized that the blind real estate postcard actually outpulled this one, which is more transparent about what it was. The other one was not transparent about what it was, and it actually ended up doing a lot better. So it's the one that we ended up sticking with. So the oversized postcards, the lowest first class rate that I've ever been able to get on a pre-sorted rate is just under 30 cents. Which changes all the time by the way of the U.S. Postal Service. The regular size postcard again is 4¼ by 6. The oversized postcard is 5½ by 11. And the pre-sorted standard rate, now remember, this is not pre-sorted first class for the oversized, it's pre-sorted standard, and you're around the same amount of money as the pre-sorted first class. In fact, you're a lot less than if you would have put a live stamp, which as I mentioned, for a regular postcard size is now 35 cents. And they will get a lot more response because people pay much more attention to a larger postcard than they will a small postcard. In fact, I just told you I throw away every postcard that's small. I don't care what it says. They could say I just won $1 million and, or here's next week's lottery numbers, and I will just throw it away. However, every single oversized postcard I receive, and I've gotten skincare offers, I've gotten hair thinning offers, I will actually look at. And some I've actually responded to, not the hair thinning one, but anything that has to do with skincare, I usually will respond to, or at least go to the website to check out and see what they have. So I always look at oversized postcards. Because they command attention and they stick out in people's mail, and people are sifting through their mail, and it definitely stands out over a very small postcard. You're always going to use 4-color designs, and if you're not sure about your design, you do have some to pick from, but handymailing.com can help you actually design your postcard for you, and they do an exceptional job because they use much of the same methodologies on marketing that I use that they actually implement on their designs and their layout. So you don't have to worry about using some bogus thing that's never going to work from some punk kid that knows nothing about marketing the way I do from my school of thought. They actually are along the same lines as what I do. So money by the numbers. Before you do any marketing campaign of any kind, you want to kind of figure out what you can maybe expect. Now, it's always off. It's never going to be perfect, but at least you have some kind of perimeter in which to expect and deal with. You can get the spreadsheets by going to monicamean.com/spreadsheets, or, it's on your flash drive. You can get the spreadsheets there. So that's where you can get the spreadsheets to figure out the money part of all this. So here's what a spreadsheet looks like. And again, it is on your flash drive if you want to take a look, and you can alter any of these columns or any of these blocks that you want to alter. So say, for example, you're doing a postcard campaign and you have a product that's $99 that your recipient is going to ultimately buy by going through the funnel. So this will tell you the amount of pieces you see in the section. So it'll actually give you your half of 1%, which is your break-even part. Based on 5,000 mailing pieces. You'll see that in the first yellow box toward the top. And I usually do this by, I guess you could say by 5,000 pieces. In the orange section toward the left part of the bottom screen, you're going to see the postage costs, and that is pre-sorted standard. This is based on an oversized postcard. The mailing list is going to be anywhere from $125 to $150 per thousand. And then mailing services / labor, it depends. That's going to vary depending on whether you're doing this yourself versus whether you are actually hiring handy mailing or a service like that. So there's other elements that you have to consider when you're putting all of that in there. So you're half a percent. So yes, you are at a break even by doing this marketing campaign for the 7-day facelift. At the half a percentage, because with the upsells you're actually at a little bit of a profit. Now let me remind you that sometimes you're not going to make all the money on the front end, and that's okay, because remember, you are collecting everybody's name and email address before they even hit our affiliate funnel. And therefore, once you capture their name and email address, then you can sell them any other affiliate product. You can even go to clickbank.com and find a couple skincare download things for people to buy. And that's where all the money's really at, is all of the upsells on the back end, all of the email campaigns you'll be sending out after they purchase this first product. Or maybe it's another California Glow product. You're like, hey, this brand new, skincare cream just came into stock and we're doing a sale on it for an introductory offer. And if you order by midnight today, you'll get 10% off or whatever it is. You'll be able to get access to all the newest stuff that we're doing, and then you'll be able to send out email blasts, and that's where the bulk of the money is made, is on the back end through all of the names that you've collected when people enter into your funnel before they hit our funnel through the affiliate hop link, all right? So obviously, we're assuming you've determined your market, which obviously is, for example, skincare. You're going to select skincare buyers and find skincare buyer mailing lists. You have your product for your selected market. We talked about baby boomers and how instrumental they are because they have expendable income. Now, there is an issue with baby boomers that I've started to notice just in the past year. And that is you're older, and see, baby boomers, it encompasses such a large cross section of people. It's almost like a 25-year time frame, which is really ridiculous to lump that many people into one generation, but it's a reality. So I think it's about a 25-year time frame from your oldest to your youngest baby boomer. So there's a couple of different things that you need to be aware of when it comes to the baby boomer marketing, is that there's the older baby boomers, which are basically 1 foot from the grave. A lot of them are on a fixed income. A lot of them are relying on Social Security. A lot of them don't have expendable income. And then you have the younger baby boomers who are obviously fast and furiously careening into that direction of not having expendable income just in only a handful of years. The vast majority, I believe, of baby boomers now are retirement age or already retired, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and check out those statistics for you. But When people retire, they have less expendable income. They're not as loose with their money as when they are employed. So you have to think in terms of that. And so that's why I've actually re-ratcheted and re-geared my skincare marketing campaigns to Gen Xers and the younger baby boomers only, because I've had problems with the older baby boomers. When you talk to them on the phone, they're barely coherent. They can't hear. It's an awful segment of the population to deal with. But the worst thing is that they talk about their fixed income and they don't have this money for this and money for that. So even though they have the desire to purchase skincare still, even well into their 70s and even in their 80s, believe it or not, they just don't have the expendable income required to be able to do well with targeting that segment when it comes to skincare. Now, when it comes to a different type of product, say for example, we're talking about weight loss. Well, when you're in your 70s, I don't know about you, but I already plan on not having any interest in weight loss when I'm 70 something. You might be different. I don't know. Probably when I'm 60 something, I may or may not have any interest in weight loss. I might if I'm obese or severely overweight. But aside from that, though, when I'm in my 60 plus realm of things, when it comes to my age, I think my only interest in weight loss is going to be, if I have high blood pressure and do I need to lose weight because of that, or do I need to lose weight to thwart diabetes, or, that's going to be my only interest, is being able to keep my body as a temple, in as best shape as possible to make it to the finish line without having to, crap myself every day and being in that much of a physical disarray to where I cannot function in society. That's going to be my main concern when I'm 60 plus. It's not going to be to hit the beach with my beach body, bikini, beach body. It's not going to be that at all. So think about your demographic and what you're selling. So with the weight loss stuff, I'm in my 40s, and 50 something, the low 50s would be my longest, biggest target for age range, but it's going to be mostly 30s and 40s because that's where the expendable income is. And remember, millennials are just kind of the hopeless generation that are still living with their parents, and they're in their 20s, and we're not targeting to them. So even though many probably want to lose weight and probably should lose weight, they're not people we're targeting because they don't really have the money for what we're offering, if that makes sense. All right. So the price point, again, we want them in and out as close to around $100 as possible. So again, think about the total funnel. Don't think about just the front end price, but think about the total amount that you could make by pushing them through the funnel front to back, because it's not necessarily going to be on the front end. It's going to be more so what we sell as they go through the funnel. So for example, if all that's in the funnel is a bottle of diet pills and there's no upsells or anything else, that's not going to be a profitable marketing campaign. In fact, it will lose you a lot of money doing that. So for both downloads or consumable products, like for example, if you did want to upsell later on a ClickBank type of product for skincare, for example, or a weight loss download, you could very well do that. You would just have to hit them up with a separate marketing campaign to be able to, drive traffic into that hop link. And you'd have to be able to create a hop link through ClickBank to be able to do that, which I know I've discussed in prior segments and how you can do that. Pricing is very important, obviously, for the front end and for the back end. And the back end means as they go through the funnel, how much you're going to be making total. The big thing, though, is the continuity product, which I just discussed with you, is any second now going to be part of the 7-day facelift. It's also going to be part of the brand new weight loss system funnel that we're putting together to be able to go into the new year with. And so you'll be able to have that money coming in as an affiliate every single month that they renew and get a new set of product in the mail. You're getting a piece of the action. And it's awesome if you can get anywhere from $47 to $97 monthly for that. Now, preferably you're doing all of this both. And again, as an affiliate, regardless of the program you select, you want to see if there's a decent amount of money through the funnel as well as on the continuity product as well. So that's what you want to focus in on when you choose any affiliate product program. So can you work with other types of direct mailers outside of postcards? And the answer is yes, you can, and yes, you should. And we're going to talk about that as far as the general rules for the envelope mailer. So it only works for physical shipped products only, I found. in my experience. So if you're trying to sell some kind of, say for example, you do really well with the download product through ClickBank, selling some kind of weight loss secret book course thing, you probably either want to stick with postcards with that, or just stick with just giving people email blasts through the Aweber system to be able to upsell people that are currently part of your list for that. I would not send a full envelope mailer for something like that. Physical products are generally the best to target when you're talking about a full envelope mailer, where they're getting a physical product shipped to them in the mail. But the price requirements do change, and this is all going to go back to your spreadsheet. So for example, there's an invitation style. It's a two-step mailing. So the postcard, I should have probably mentioned, is a two-step mailing, meaning step one, they get the postcard. Their call to action is simply to show up to the website for some kind of bait. The bait is some kind of free item. That's a two-step mailing because there's two steps involved. Step one, they receive the postcard. Step two, they go to the funnel. 2 steps. However, there's other types of mailings you could do with a full envelope. There's what we call the one-step mailing, which means it actually sells a product within the mailer. So when they open up the mailing piece, which is a 4-page or an 8-page sales piece, they're actually getting hit up for money right then and there. They're not being prompted to get anything for free. They're not being sent anywhere else unless they're ready to place an order for something, and they're given the price right off the bat. This is a one-step mailing piece. And so these are less and less effective as time goes on. And I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about it, because I recommend that you stick with the two-step, which is either the postcard or the invitation style, unless, of course, you're going to use that one particular sales piece that's on your flash drive, which I'm going to show you shortly. But I've never really had a cold direct mail marketing campaign work for a product that I've priced over $297. So the sweet spot for me has always been between $177 and $244, and that's in a one-step, which means I've had a 4-page sales piece, sometimes up to 8 pages. But again, printing is not getting any cheaper. In fact, just recently, China has hiked all of their printing prices. I think it was a year or two ago, upwards of 45% on top of what they were already charging. And that's where the majority of your printers are going to be getting their paper from. And so all of this printing cost is getting more and more. And so if you're using even a company in China to print the stuff for you, or even a local printing house, or even printsmadeeasy.com or printingcenterusa.com, or even handymailing.com to do your mailings for you or do your printing for you, the prices are not going down on printing. So it doesn't really make sense now to be sending out 8 pages on a cold list. It's better to just kind of lead people through a funnel on a two-stepper first, before you kind of hit them up on, say, a financial offer, for example, for $500 or more, which is typically what you'd have to be able to support a $500 price point on an 8-page sales letter. You're realistically not going to be able to sell somebody a skincare kit for $500, even if it is a celebrity endorser that's using the product. It's really hard financial curve to get yourself around to do something like that. So it's usually financial offers that are $500 or around that, to be able to send to people. But again, your sweet spot's going to be 177 to 244. And again, that's if you're doing a one-step mailer, which we're really not going to be doing. It's just I wanted to talk about it because I know some of you are going to be wondering, well, what if I just try to sell the product right then and there to them? Can I do that? And the answer is you can, but then your numbers are going to be skewed and change, and there's going to be a higher risk level of not being able to make your numbers if you do it that way. But if you do it that way, you save money on making your main sales piece printed on white paper, 20-pound bond paper, which is like the thinnest paper. It's like Xerox paper that you can get, where it doesn't bleed through the other side, and you use black ink. You don't have color in there. That's how you save money on your printing. So for example, if you decided you wanted to do a mailer like this, you do 5,000 pieces, you could do pre-sorted first class, getting around 46 cents a piece, even though it is 50 cents for a live stamp. You could get it down to pre-sorted first class. This would be the cheapest way you'd be able to do this. The cheapest sales price you can get away with, charging between $12 and $20 for shipping to the customer, even though it costs you about $10 or $12 to ship it to the customer. You charge them $20 for it, so you even profit from the shipping and handling a little bit. And you're still almost at a break even at 0.5%. So you could still technically make this system work, especially if you have an upsell of an auto shipment product. where you're charging them, $50 a month or $80 a month for an auto shipment product. So this could very well still work if you wanted to do it this way. However, as a beginning marketer and as a beginning mailer, I don't recommend that you really do the full mailing piece yet. I recommend you kind of work with the oversized postcards or even the two-step invitation mailers first before you actually go forward and do a mailing like this. Because you can see how much of a difference there is in response. If you get 1%, for example, you're making quite a bit of money doing this. This is really profitable. There's nothing to sneeze at here when it comes to this, but this is something I want to see you experiment with later, not now. And maybe on your, maybe you'd want to do this on your financial types of affiliate programs and not for skincare or weight loss is what you want to try to do this for. Okay, so it's okay to actually break even or even take a slight loss, because if you could see, when people do what we call the auto shipment, there's quite a bit of money that's involved in that. So even if you take a slight loss on the front end, by the time you're getting paid for all the auto shipments, you're making quite a bit of money on the back end. So, this is a secret that a lot of people don't talk about, is the continuity part of this. And there's a couple different twofold parts of this. There's the continuity or the monthly auto shipment, but there's also all of the email blasts that you do for additional products that are like the one that they've already purchased. For example, you might want to send out an email blast for a new skincare product that came out, and that's where all your money is at, is on the back end stuff, which includes the continuity and includes additional offers for the email blast. All right. So taking a look at the numbers, say, for example, just on continuity alone, take a look at this. Just on continuity and being able to get new blood and new auto shipments in every single month, knowing that the average person will stay 3, sometimes 4 months, that's a lot of money that you could be stacking up just by constantly pumping out mail on the front end and stacking up, all of the auto shipments on the back end. That's quite a bit of money that you could potentially make your first year out. This is exactly what Bev is doing and why she's able to capitalize, because she's actually working with our older weight loss funnel that we have. That's one of the things that she's doing. And I haven't offered it to new marketers and new affiliates because I kind of locked out the new ones of being able to participate. This is how I typically operate so that people are not flooding the market. So when you came into this California Glow system, you're given a set of clones that the future affiliates are not going to be able to access. The original California Glow affiliates got a set of clones that I don't give out to new affiliates. And the reason I do that is because I want everybody to have the best possible ability and all the odds stacked for them and not against them when it comes to making money. So those that got into the California Glow stuff, ground level, got different clones than the people coming in now, and then you're getting clones that people are not going to be able to get that are coming in 6 to 12 months from now. And I do that on purpose. It's so that everybody has different clones that they're sending people through, or that different clones, I should say, rather, that they're using from the new affiliates, and then also to different funnels that they're be able to profit on. And one of her funnels that she's profiting on is the a weight loss continuity program, and that's why she's making so much money. She's over $40,000 a month net profits because of this, because of what we call this continuity stacking is what it's called, where she's actually pushing in new people, and people are on the auto shipment. She's pushing in more and more people, and people are staying on average between 3 and 4 months, and there's some people that are staying 6 and 7 and 8 months on that program because it's a really good weight loss product. And so she's got clones that you guys don't have because I don't give them to new affiliates now. You're getting clones and pushing people into funnels that future affiliates are not going to be able to access. And so I'm constantly doing this to where everybody will have the best possible advantages in the marketplace. Now, the good news about you coming in at this time is that even though new clones will be coming in, you'll always be able to access the clones that come in and the new programs that come in from this point forward. Even if you're in this program for another 10 years, you'll always get all the new stuff. So like, for example, Bev came in at ground level. So not only did she get all the original clones, and all the original funnels to work her affiliate program through, but she's also now got all the clones you have, and she'll always be able to get all the new clones and the new stuff that comes in as time goes on. The same will apply to you. So all the clones and affiliate programs that you're part of now, you'll be able to now access all the new stuff that as it comes in. And affiliate marketers that come in to our system a year or 2 years from now are not going to be able to access what you have now, if that makes sense. Because I constantly want to give people who started early with me the best possible advantage, and those that want to start late or take forever to make a decision on whether they want to do this, they actually technically get penalized because they only get the newest stuff that I have, and they are not able to access all the older stuff, all the older clones and all the older funnels, because I've reserved those only for those who started with me at the ground level, if that makes sense. Now, you're pretty close to the ground level. The ground level was not that long ago. So you're still pretty close to the ground level. So that means that you're going to be given the best possible advantage in as I go forward, because there's so many different new programs and products that I'm going to be adding in the months to come that you're going to be automatically part of, because you're automatically grandfathered and built into all the newest stuff that's coming up. So that's the good news for you. But I'm just trying to describe to you though how Bev is making so much money, and it was because of our initial original diet program. And I also want to mention too that with that program, that diet weight loss program, it was one of our original funnels. It's not a very good funnel. And the newer one that we're doing now will kick its ass. So the new one that you're going to be getting that's coming up as we enter into the weight loss season coming up post January 1st, because we won't release another one until after January 1st, that one is going to really be profitable. And you guys are going to get first dibs on that. So Bev will be able to get it, but you will also get that new one as well, because you're already built into the system now, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is how she's making the money. It's with the continuity. The continuity between this and the skincare, the weight loss and the skincare, is what's putting her over that $40,000 a month. And it's actually creeping up because now she's using the newer funnels to continually profit. And mind you, let me remind you one more time that she's over 70 years old. So anybody who wants to keep giving me excuses about how they're too old to do this and they can't figure it out, you're just making excuses. That's all it is. It's nothing more than just a lame excuse of laziness. And if you want to be lazy, that's fine. So step away and let people who really want to make money doing this, let them make the money, and just admit to the fact that you're just making an excuse because you're lazy. Because Bev has done so much in such a short period of time that, it just amazes me at what she's been able to do, because she uses all of her life skills, including logic, including all of the little things that I've given her over the last year, the Fiverr.com people, to do all of her stuff as far as demonstrating her products. She's used every tip that I've given her, and she's maximized on every single tip and strategy I've given her. And she's given no excuses, absolutely none. She told me when she started this out, she says, I know I'm up there in age, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure it all out. If I have to watch YouTube videos all night put out by teenage kids to show me how to do this, I'm going to figure it out. And she did, because she had absolutely no excuses. And you could decide if you want to make excuses or not. I recently got rid of an affiliate who was around the same age as Bev, actually a couple years younger than she is, because he wanted to make a bunch of excuses. I can't do this because I'm too old. Okay, well, you already decided that before you even found out what we're doing here. So you've already made the decision that you're not going to do this no matter what. So some people already just want to make excuses. That's fine. If you're one of those people, just step away so that the rest of us who want to make good money, really good money doing this, can. And you're just going to step away and step aside and decide that you don't want to do this. So it's all a decision. Success is a decision. All right. So this is just one product campaign. She's doing direct mail marketing, but she's also doing a lot of online marketing with YouTube as well. Please remember that. So she didn't just stuff all these people in with mailing pieces, but I'm going to show you how you can do the very same thing. If you decide that you don't want to do any offline or any online marketing, you just want to do, say, 5,000 pieces of postcards a week, the oversized postcards, you could very well see these same numbers within a short period of time. Your first month is not going to be great. Second month, 10,000. But when you finally get to month 7 through 12, that's when you're starting to pack on that money, because you have the auto shipments that are coming in on top of new business coming in at the same time. All right. So here's how the numbers can really change when you're adding some additional, I guess you could say, pieces. I started you off at 5,000 pieces in this fantasy, what if world that we're in. So what if we decided to crank it up to 10,000 pieces? Now we have a lot more money that we're looking at. And by the way, when I say between 5 and 10,000, we might be toggling between a couple different products. So we might be doing 5,000 pieces for the skincare, for example, and 5,000 pieces for the weight loss product. Maybe we're not doing it all for the same product line to be able to get maximum mail out. But it doesn't matter because we're just looking at the numbers, and this is all possible. This is all possible because remember too, we're not just talking about auto shipments and new people coming into the program. We're also talking about the email blasts that we're doing on the back end to sell additional like products. So for example, if they bought, say, a weight loss system, then maybe we want to sell them a ClickBank weight loss download product. Or maybe if they bought the 7-day facelift system and we want to do a ClickBank campaign to sell them, another type of skincare download product through ClickBank, we can do that. And this is where all of this back end money starts to come in, especially when we set it up on an auto drip system through Aweber, where we send out email blasts every 7 days or so to our list of like products. And we're not sending out blasts really, but they're automatically going out 7 days, 14 days, and 21 days after the person came into your original funnel to begin with. But take a look at this. Say you're at 25,000 pieces a week. This includes the front end sales. This includes the funnel OTO sales. This includes the continuity program. And this concludes our back end. This is where you could potentially be if you decide to ramp up your operation to 25,000 pieces a week, including all of the revenue items and strategies that I just talked about. This is completely possible as profits, not just gross, but profits your first time out. And so you're basically essentially ascending up and writing your own check to whatever you want to make based on the numbers, based on the spreadsheet. Now, obviously, you have to build up. Your first couple campaigns might be only 1,000 or 2,000 postcards, but you could very well build up and ramp up. You could start week 1, 500 mailers, week 2, 500, week 3, maybe 1,000 mailers, week 4, another 1,000. Just slowly but surely ramp up. And you might be doing a lot of your own mailings yourself as you're watching TV, putting together your postcards or your invitations, but you can very well easily ramp up to this over a 6 to 8 week period. You can get up to 5,000 pieces a week within about 8 weeks or less, but then you sink the proceeds into your next set of mailings. Now you're probably thinking, well, this is a lot of envelope stuffing, and I gave you a resource at the very beginning of this, handymailing.com, that can actually do this stuff for you, but in the very beginning, you might want to be doing some of this yourself, because these numbers are not anything to sneeze at. This is not anything that you want to turn your back on. This works. And this has worked very well for me over the years. It's worked for a lot of my students that are getting into aggressive income businesses over the years. And this can very well work for you because it's money by the numbers. It does not discriminate. Doesn't matter what your race is, what your sex is. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're doing this by the numbers, and you're doing it the way I spell it out, this is a very likely scenario for you, provided that you follow suit with everything that I tell you to do. Now remember, again, this is not just based on front-end sales or OTO sales. It also includes the continuity program, the monthly auto bill program, and the back-end sales from the Aweber blasts and drips that you send to people, selling them other like products like the one that they were interested in. Now, you got to be careful. You don't want to cross-sell people, at least not right away. So if they came into your funnel wanting the 7-day facelift and they're interested in skincare anti-aging, you don't want to all of a sudden send them email blasts for weight loss and vice versa. You have to keep them in their own separate compartments in the Aweber system so that you can always make sure that the anti-aging people get only anti-aging stuff and that the weight loss people only get weight loss stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be losing people off your email list. And you don't want to do that because you paid good money and took the time, effort, and energy to get them there. Now, another reason why you should start off focusing on marketing campaigns is that they work. Like, for example, let me show you this one. For those of you that actually want to sell the California Glow affiliate membership or the program to get new people in to become affiliates, you can actually make a lot of money doing that as well. It'd be kind of a postcard that kind of looks like this. And it's because obviously for the BizOp crowd in particular, postcards are really highly effective because that particular crowd always responds to these types of offers, even the smaller postcard. And it's much cheaper for printing, postage, as we already talked about. It will grab attention with that particular crowd especially. And it's easier to start off doing your own campaigns because all you need is to go to the post office to get your 35-cent first class postcard stamp. You know, and again, we're not selling anything with the postcard. This is called a two-step process with only one call to action or one CTA, which is just to get them to the website. So you never include the price of the product. You don't try to sell anything. You're only driving traffic to your website. And that's it. We have the bait there, which is the free 7-day facelift system. It'll be much the same for the weight loss, the new funnel that we're putting together. You know, there's also too, you can always do your free report, free book. If you're sending obviously people to your website first, you can have an additional layer of free stuff for people. So for example, if you decide that you want to add a free report for people that want the 7-day facelift, or you can leave the postcard the same for the free 7-day facelift, but you can even add a free skincare report, which are located on your flash drive. And you can have that on your clone site so that people put their name and email address in there. They get the report sent to them by way of email through the Aweber system. But as they click on the submit button to enter their name and email address in there, after that, they end up on our site and we give them the 7-day facelift for free. They just have to pay for shipping and handling. So you could always add an additional element of bait into your postcards because we did give you that information on your flash drive to where you can actually offer those free reports to people. Okay. And so you can also test later on a toll-free number. But again, all this stuff is getting more complicated because now you have to have a service that will take the phone calls or a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week voicemail to talk about the offer. And then the way it's set up now, this would be if you want to do this your own business, you want to sell your own products, you can do the toll-free number. Otherwise, you have to send people to the website address to be able to be paid as an affiliate. But this is for later on if you did want to sell your own skincare product or your own weight loss product, your own product. You could test out using a toll-free number instead of a website address. But then this gets expensive and you have to have an order taking service. And it's really difficult to make it work when you could always have just, sending people to the website and calling it a day. So I'm going to talk about blind. Blind, what is blind? I was talking earlier about the one offer that I did and how I changed it from, the blind versus not blind. So this was the offer that I talked about where it's not blind. It tells people very, very much so what this is, and it's apartment building investing. A lot of people, especially biz-oppers, were not interested in apartment building investing because they felt it was way over their head and it was too difficult to do and it would be too expensive, and all they know is the flipping stuff that they see on infomercials, and that's all they're interested in. But when I changed it to this, my results went through the roof when I changed it from the not blind to the blind real estate postcard. Now, this isn't really blind. Blind is when you don't tell them what the opportunity is at all. You just basically say all these people are making all this money and just come to this website to get this free report on what this secret thing is. That's a blind. This is a real estate blind postcard. I actually give you this postcard. You'll be able to download this later on your members only site, where all you have to do is put in your URL at the bottom. And I've also changed it to offer the free Scratch Millionaire book, which is my most successful marketing campaign to date. So I actually changed it from this to the actual. So this is the back part of the not blind. And then the back part of the blind one is this. Now, like I said, I've changed it ever so slightly to include the book. But again, this is my most successful. This is an oversized postcard, and this one works exceptionally well. And so you know, again, you might want to consider doing that. When you download it, you can actually have handymailing.com. They can actually do the mailing for you. You send it to a bunch of BizOp leads, and you will drive traffic to your clone first. And then through the clone, they'll be able to leave their name and email address and then end up on my Free Scratch Millionaire site, which is a really successful converting site. If you want to go outside of the California Glow stuff and make even more money as an affiliate, then that's the postcard you definitely want to use. Now, here's the ultimate blind for a home business opportunity, as I mentioned, and if you wanted to sell the business opportunity side of California Glow, which is also very profitable to do. So maybe you don't even want to sell the 7-day skincare thing, the 7-day facelift thing. Maybe you just want to sell the opportunity for other affiliates to come in, and you can also do that as well. That's an opportunity for you. This particular postcard has worked exceptionally well for me to pull people in, but this is a true blind postcard because people are looking at this. It doesn't talk about the opportunity. It doesn't say what it is. It just says that it's something. So this is really a good postcard to use if you're trying to do a blind offer for a business opportunity. And again, this would work exceptionally well for those of you that actually want to promote the California Glow affiliate opportunity, which is extremely profitable. In fact, that can be slightly profitable, more profitable than actually selling the 7-day facelift, believe it or not. So some important mailing rules. In the beginning, you don't want to use a letter shop. I'm going to give you a resource of the letter shop that I believe in the entire universe is the only one that's above board and the only one that's not going to screw you. I've already been talking about them as we go along. But in the very beginning, you might want to just do your own letters in the beginning before you even use them. You can choose to automate the labor. This is what we do. Sometimes I use a letter shop every once in a while if I've got a really tight campaign where it's like, say, for example, an upcoming event that I'm doing, I have to have a date on there, then I'll use a letter shop. Otherwise, we do a lot of our stuff in-house. So what you could do is you can print the names and addresses on the postcards, or you can actually use like labels and stick the labels on the postcards. You can even print the postcard yourself on a cardstock, double-sided, and then just basically cut the postcards. You would have 4 postcards on a sheet, and then you can cut them up if you wanted to. This is a really labor-intensive. I don't really recommend you do all this. I recommend you at least just have a company print your postcards like printingcenterusa.com or printsmadeeasy.com, and at least just stick labels on them and stick postage on them. That's the most labor-intensive I recommend that you do. Drop your mail on a Monday, preferably. Sometimes I'll do it the Friday before. And you want to pause all your mailings. Any mailing you want to do for any product you're trying to sell, and I don't care what it is. You want to pause all your mailings the week of Thanksgiving, and you don't want to mail another scrap of mail of any kind until the very first week of January. In fact, you could send out your very first mailing on the first business day in January, but not a second before then. Those are the rules. I mean, I don't care what you're selling. Nothing tends to work around the Thanksgiving to New Year timeframe. Now, getting a permit number. Now, remember, if you are having a company like handymailing.com do your mailings for you, they will provide the permit number on their behalf. It will just say Wichita, Kansas, which is where they're at. I tend to I have my own permit numbers. I have 2 layers of permits. I have my pre-starter first class permit, and then I have my standard mail permit. So it's $225 a year per level. So I pay a pretty penny every single year to renew this permit, which is under permit number 700 at the Santa Clarita Post Office, but it covers 2 types of mailings. I could do pre-starter first class, and I could do standard with the permits that I've purchased, because I do have the 2 layers of permit. So to be able to do pre-sort of any kind, you do have to have these in zip code order. Unlike what most people think, you don't have to have a barcode on it, but you do get a better postage rate if you do have a barcode. And it must be mailed at the distribution center, because you're basically going to come in there with your tray of mail. It has to be in their trays and what they call sleeves. And so there's a sleeve over the tray. It looks like this cardboard sleeve. And you go there, they weigh the mail for you, and then you just write them the check to the U.S. Postal Service right then and there for the amount of mail that you have, and you have to fill out this form. So when you have a mailing house like handymailing.com, they do all of this for you. They have the permit, they do all the mailing stuff, they put everything in zip code order. So you don't have to do any of this. They do all of this for you. But if you still want to do it yourself, I strongly recommend that maybe you start off with first class with a regular first class postage stamp, and then just have the labels printed off. This is what I've used in the past for the mailing list software, which you can print labels with. It's 30 on a page labels. You can get them through Avery, but that's kind of a ripoff. So you can go to uline.com to get the labels. And again, it's 30 on a page that you'd be printing your labels on. And then this is the software that you can take the names that they will give you by way of email. The list broker will email you the list of names. And then you can load the names in through a CVS file. Is it CVS or CSV? I think it's CSV file or an Excel file. Load it into this My Mail List software program, and then you can print it on the labels. You don't need the postage saver thing. It's an extra rip-off subscription that they try to push on you, and it never really works properly. So I wouldn't recommend that you get that, but the software is pretty good. You know, when you drop your mail on a Monday, people will start receiving your postcards 2 to 3 days with your pre-sorted or your first class. But it usually takes 10 to 14 days in my experience for pre-sorted standard, and up to 3 weeks. They always tell you up to 3 weeks, but it's usually, in my experience, 10 to 14 days is the sweet spot that your recipient will receive. So when you do your oversized postcards, which is the recommended postcard I recommend that you use, they will take about 10 to 14 days for your recipient to receive it. 70% of your sales will come within the first 7 days of their receiving your mail or your postcard. An additional 20% will come an additional 7 days thereafter. About 5% will trickle in a month later, and then some will actually come several months or a year later, believe it or not. And there's always ways, if you're going to be selling your own product, not necessarily for a postcard, but when you're selling your own product, you finally get to the threshold where you want to sell your own maybe skincare line. Then if you're doing a direct mail piece and it's inside an envelope, not a postcard, inside an envelope, then you're always going to want to provide multiple ways for your customers to place orders. Same with your online website. If you're selling a product and it's your own product and not an affiliate product, then you're going to want to have multiple ways of them being able to place their order, whether it's, you know, fax, calling an 800 number, et cetera, et cetera. Instead of just place your order online and that's it. The reason we do it that way is because that's the only way you're going to get paid as an affiliate is that they go through our funnel through your hop link, and the only way that they're going to get paid is if you're given credit through your hop link. That's why we don't offer multiple ways of people being able to order the 7-day facelift, for example, because otherwise if they call us, there's no way for us to know which affiliate put them through and into the system. So we do that for your benefit, not for ours. Now there's an option later on, again, when you decide to up the ante and get your own products, you can use something called an 8-question Q&A order taker service. It's provided by American Voicemail, and it's $199 a year. That saves money on live order taking, but again, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff now because you're using us to be able to do this. And again, later on, you're going to be able to take credit cards because, again, you will be ultimately selling your own product later. I don't want you dependent constantly on California Glow or any affiliate program out there, because you can always maximize your dollars selling your own products later on. This is just something to get you off the ground. And I know that's really a bad thing for me to tell you this because we profit a lot when you guys make money for us. But I'm telling you the honest truth, this is a stepping stone, or at least it should be a stepping stone for you to have a real business one day. Unless you just want to keep this a part-time gig and just make some extra money on the side, then this is fine. But if you ultimately want to create a multi-million-dollar business on your own, you're going to ultimately have to sell your own products. And when you do that, you're going to have all this extra stuff in play, being able to take credit cards, being able to take people's orders on the phone. And these are different strategies of which to do this. You can have a toll-free number, and if you choose to have it, there's a company called cal8.com for an instant toll-free number that you can direct and point to any other phone number. So that's an instant option for you to get a toll-free number if and when you need one. So how to work with break-even lists and campaigns, you have to understand that, you know, sometimes it's going to be a break-even campaign, but you already understand what the back end is, which is potentially getting people on auto shipment, potentially selling them on other back end products that are like the same products that they came into the funnel for in the first place. So this is why I recommend that if you're going to be choosing a certain type of affiliate program, make sure that they're all the same type of products. So for California Glow, for example, 7-day facelift. We're adding more and more as time goes on. You're wanting to sell the same products, and then maybe go to ClickBank to see what other type of skincare affiliate products are available, or if there's any on CommissionJunction.com or other affiliate types of websites that you can add into your repertoire of different products that you can offer to people that are like the same product. So they don't have to be all California Glow products. They can actually be other affiliate programs that are selling the same like products. You just want to make sure that they are like other skincare products, or like other weight loss products, or like whatever other affiliate program that you're focusing in on. So, for example, say you decide that you want to do the California Glow as a business opportunity type of plan. As a course, well, then that means that actually that opens you up to other types of business opportunities, believe it or not. So it's not even in the realm of skincare anymore. If you decide that you want to promote the business opportunity for California Glow as the affiliate program and sell that, then that actually opens you up to being able to sell other business opportunity types of affiliate programs through ClickBank, for example, or Commission Junction. So that actually opens you up to a completely new world of making tons more money by basically just selling business opportunity plans. So you might want to start off as the California Glow affiliate plan to sell, then maybe go to clickbank.com and figure out another business opportunity plan you could sell. Maybe you want to sell a Global Success affiliate plan for the Global Success side. Another business opportunity from Global Success. You could do that as well, but that all falls under the wheelhouse of business opportunity. You could sell a DVD training series. Maybe you come up with your own DVD training series for another business opportunity. You can go to a website called masterresalerights.com. It's master-resale-rights.com. And you can actually download for almost pennies on the dollar some of these programs that you could resell that were created by other people that are also business opportunities. And you could sell all kinds of business opportunities if that's the wheelhouse you decide to stick with. So it's best for you to figure out what wheelhouse is going to be the best and most conducive and make the most money for you. I could tell you from experience, the ones that are about business opportunities and making money for other people are the wheelhouses that tend to be the most profitable. So you might want to think about that when you set up the affiliate program. Please note, with California Glow, you do have the ability to sell that as an opportunity. It is located in the section in which you can log into your back office to look at all of your account information as an affiliate. And you could see it's under the 100K in 100 days title. And that's the funnel to be able to sell the California Glow affiliate opportunity. And then once people go into your clone site for the opportunity, they put their name and email address. You can always get a report for them. You can even go get your free report that you can offer as bait from master-resale-rights.com. It's master, M-A-S-T-E-R, resale, R-E-S-A-L-E, rights, R-I-G-H-T-S.com, master-resale-rights.com. And you can actually, what you're looking for is a private label report. And there's a ton of them on business opportunity types of things. People that want to start their own home-based business, there's a ton of reports on that. You can offer some kind of free bait report thing from there that you don't even have to write. And make sure that it's a private label one to where you can put your own name on it if you wanted to, and you can alter any of the contents, and that they give you a Microsoft Word document rather than a PDF file, so you can alter it. And you can offer that as a free report to people. And that could be one of your bait elements that you would add to your postcard campaign, for example, or to your Facebook campaign, or any of the campaigns that you want. What's exciting about selling business opportunities to people is it's so profitable, because everybody is looking for a way to make extra money. They're sick of their boss. They hate their job. Maybe they're sick of their current business, and they're always looking for additional ways of making money. And there's a ton of those types of courses and promotions and products on clickbank.com, on commissionjunction.com that you can be an affiliate for, because many times you're just not going to have the ability to create your own course from scratch. So say, for example, people buy the California Glow affiliate opportunity through the 100K in 100 days funnel, and all of a sudden you have them in the email blast system through Aweber, and all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to get a different URL from GoDaddy.com. I'm going to get some other domain like amazingbusinessopportunity.com or besthomebasedbusiness.com, and you basically link and forward that domain to the hop link that you create for a new business opportunity product in clickbank.com. You sign up for their free affiliate, become a free affiliate, and be able to look for the ultimate business opportunity for you to promote through their system. And you create a hop link through your free account that you created through ClickBank, and then you forward your domain at GoDaddy to that hop link. So that when you send out an email blast to people, you're not sending them directly to a hop link, because it'll get caught up in spam blockers like instantly if you have a hop link in your email that you're sending people to go to. But if you send everybody to a domain, amazinghomebusiness.com, and that domain is forwarded to the hop link at clickbank.com that you created with your free account there, then you can basically put that URL in your email blast and send people that newest, latest, greatest home business opportunity. So these people already bought the 100K in 100 days, say, for example, they're already California Glow affiliates. And then all of a sudden you decide, you know what, there's this other awesome home-based business opportunity that I can promote to people through ClickBank that I can make a lot of money with, and maybe there's a continuity thing added there. That's the added extra bonus. So you create that new URL through GoDaddy, you forward that domain over to your hop link for this new program through ClickBank or CommissionJunction.com, same type of thing that they have going on over there. There's other affiliate types of platforms too. And then you just send out email blasts and promote different business opportunities. You can make a ton of money that way, tons and tons and tons of money that way. Just capturing people's names and email addresses through your initial promotion, whether it's a direct mail marketing campaign or a Facebook campaign or a Google AdWords, YouTube campaign. And once you have their name and email address, you can send them all kinds of different promos. Now, you don't want to be too spammy and lame, but you do want to at least have some interesting content. Maybe, write a couple things about how you came across something amazing and that you want people to take a look at it. And then you go ahead. You have to build your hop link into another domain that you get from GoDaddy. Otherwise, again, you're going to get caught up in spam blockers, and then people will not get your emails at all. And that's how you build up a business, is you just keep everything in the same wheelhouse. So if you want to dedicate it to skincare, you can dedicate it to skincare. If you want it to be weight loss, it could be weight loss. But you pick one wheelhouse, and then you acquire a bunch of different I guess you could say product lines in that same wheelhouse. And you don't want to be crossing over. So one week you're doing weight loss, the next week you're doing skincare, the next week you're doing biz op. You got to pick one in the beginning and stick with it until you build out to at least 3 to 5 different products that don't have to come from us. They can come from other affiliate programs like ClickBank, like Commission Junction. And then you can choose a different product line later on when you feel like you've maxed out on that particular product line. So maybe you've purchased as many leads as you can possibly get with biz oppers, and now you're ready to do weight loss, or maybe you're ready to do skincare, and then you could switch over at that time just to be able to double and triple your profits by taking on additional wheelhouses at that time. So here's what you might be looking at then. With a certain postcard campaign that you have that's only $99 on the front end. Maybe this is a download that you decide, maybe it's a BizOp download that you got at CommissionJunction.com or ClickBank.com, and you send out a postcard, and on the postcard you have a domain name, and the domain goes to your, maybe it goes to your clone file, your clone funnel, because you want to be able to capture people's name and email address before you send them off to the through the hop link into the affiliate's website. And then there's additional upsells. Maybe there's a $97 upsell option and additional other upsells. Maybe the additional other upsells over the course of 30 days is maybe an auto shipment program or something. You're able to make tons of money being able to do this, because all you have to do is get that 0.5%, which is very easy to do with most buyer lists. Even with a postcard campaign, you're profiting right out of the gates, right off the bat. So you double from 5,000 a week maybe to 10,000 a week. And then this is what you're potentially looking at with the same exact campaign, simply by your average sales response. It could be anywhere from 0.5%. Remember, we want our 0.5% to break even. Many times I get an average response rate and sales rate of 1.5%. The lowest I typically get is around 1%, but I'm giving you very conservative numbers so that you don't expect pie in the sky numbers. I'll never give you numbers that, are not workable or can't happen. So with the average sales response of 1.5%, again, some of this even being continuity stuff, and even some of it even being an upsell, at least one upsell on another continuity or another affiliate program, you could look at an average monthly profits. These are net profits of $25,000 per month simply by doing 10,000 pieces a week. Now remember, by the time you're doing 10,000 a week, you're not doing these yourself. You're having a place like handymailing.com doing these for you. But every time you want to double that amount, say you're sick of making only 25,000 a month and you want to double it to 50,000 a month, you're talking about 20,000 pieces a month. Now remember, you have to have scalability, and there's very few mailing lists that have this kind of scalability. Even skincare, you'll bump up against some issues. You'll have to go with the Guthy Rink or infomercial, leads, for example, which is not a bad thing because those are very responsive. It's just that you're going from mail order leads to infomercial leads, which are going to be different. BizOp, the sky's the limit is the amount of BizOp names you can get from people that are interested in home-based businesses. So there's really no limit on that. Weight loss, there's going to be some limit because there's not as many names for weight loss as there for skincare. So you might want to carefully select the type of, I guess you could say, wheelhouse you want to start off with so that you can do the scale, because you might be ready to do 20,000 pieces a week, but you can't get your hands on that many leads because the industry doesn't call for it. You might not be able to get enough leads to be able to support this. And if you find that that's the issue, then just find another wheelhouse. Instead of, banging your head up against the wall trying to find more leads for that wheelhouse, simply decide, I think I capped out on BizOp. I'm going to go over to weight loss now. Or I think I capped out on weight loss. I'm going to go over to skincare now, and just keep opening up to more wheelhouses as time goes on. And that's the ultimate secret behind this entire business. That's the part that people just don't talk about. So I promised at the very end that I'd give you some resources. Now, mind you, I've been in this business a really long time. I told you that Macromark was my main mailing list broker since the mid-90s. That's a long time. And then in 2016, I had to cut all ties with them because of the federal investigation that still to this day is still ongoing and getting worse by the day, I should mention. So now you have all of the shim-shammy direct mail mailing list companies that have kind of opted out of the business, and probably rightfully so. So now you're going to get really good high quality lists, but it's very difficult to find a really good mailing list broker to get you those lists. So I'm going to give you that lead, and I'm also going to give you the list, the handy mailing information again, because in case you don't want to be doing your own postcards or mailing or any of that stuff, you'll have that resource as well. So here's your two resources. The above board mailing list broker, who I've only been using for a short time, but she's really kick-ass. She's awesome. Her name is Laura, and you can reach her at that phone number there. It's impulse-media.net, not .com, .net. So impulse-media.net is the name of the mailing list company that you can get mailing lists for everything: skincare stuff, weight loss stuff, BizOp stuff. It just makes sure that you carefully choose which wheelhouse you want to start off with, because you're going to have clones and you're going to have funnels for the affiliate program for all of those things, but you need to start thinking about which one you want to build out first. So that'll give you an idea of all of the data cards. They actually do have data cards listed on their website, so you can go there. It's kind of a clunky website. It reminds me of one that somebody built maybe in the late 90s, but they seem to think it's working, so that's fine. So that's the mailing list broker I'm using now. I'm no longer able to use Stephen Keats because he's been stepping back from the business. He was the one that I was with at Macromark for a long time. He's kind of shooken up by the whole FBI thing, so he's kind of stepped away from the business for a while. I don't know if he's ever going to come back, but he was with a company called ReliableLists.com after he left Macromark. I know this information is in your resource directory, especially if you have an earlier resource directory. So please note that if you're trying to get tied into Stephen Keats or ReliableList.com, there's somebody else by the name of Joe Minuti at ReliableList.com that sometimes takes people's phone calls and sometimes doesn't. So I don't know if he's just kind of worried about the investigation too. So I don't know what's going on with all that. But Impulse Media is the best route to take for getting mailing lists right now. And then for the mailing list house that I've been talking about through this entire presentation, a guy named Ryan Neufeld. I don't know if I spelled his last name correctly or not. He's got a partner. His name is Alex. They're awesome. They're based out of Wichita, Kansas. And they are the most above board letter house. And trust me, I've been in this business a long time, folks. We're talking the mid 90s when I started mailing, and I've never found a letter house that's been reliable, consistent, or honest as I have with handymailing.com. They are the only ones I will ever recommend to anyone as a letter house, period. And I only recommend that you deal with Ryan. Tell him I sent you. Ryan's really awesome. He's really good people. And you can call him directly. Tell him I sent you over. And he can do your postcards for you. All you have to do is get the mailing list from Laura at Impulse Media. Go ahead and forward them by way of email over to Ryan. He'll give you his contact email information when you call him, and he will set up the postcard for you. He'll print the postcard. He'll mail the postcard. He'll do everything under their permit number. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And if you decide you want to up the ante and do something different other than postcards, they can do that too. They can do invitation mailers like the one you have on your flash drive. He can do any kind of mailer you want. You just have to specify what you want it to look like. And if you want to jazz up the piece a little bit and you say, listen, I like Monica Main's stuff, but we need to jazz it up a little more or change some things or make it look more modern, then he will be able to do that because he does have the sales and marketing methodology that I train under and have been for over 20 years. So he's got the same, he doesn't do the Madison Avenue, New York type of style advertising, which is the advertising that doesn't work. It's for big corporations that don't care about throwing their money away in advertising. We do advertising different, where we have a direct response methodology of marketing, and he understands that completely and totally because he studies under the same marketing people that I do. He's a real young kid though. I'm surprised. He's like in his 20s, but he's one of those very few millennials that's really going to go places. One of the very few, I'll tell you that. So that's what I have for recommendations for you. And, again, this is really a good, solid way of really getting out there, really conquering the marketplace with whatever affiliate program you want to use. And then eventually, hopefully one day you have your own product that you want to get out there once you understand how this whole thing works based on the experience of you getting out there and going out there and doing it. And hopefully one day you do have your own successful product that you decide to stem off and branch off once you understand how this whole thing works and once you make your own connections in the business. So let's get out there and start profiting, shall we? I mean, ideally, you'll be starting the process with your very first direct mail marketing campaign, hopefully very, very soon. All right, so does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff? I know I was rambling on and on and on. And I haven't even been looking at my question box. Oh, there is none. Good. I guess I've been doing a really good kick-ass job with my presentation here because none of you have any questions. So that's a good thing, I guess. I know I've gone on for a long time today. This was probably the most thorough training that you're ever going to get on direct mail marketing, probably by the only person who will ever share these details with you, especially with what's going on right now in the direct mail marketing atmosphere. So I hope you enjoyed it because you're never going to get this type of training from anyone else out there, period. None of them will ever tell you this, and if they do, they're not going to give it to you in this detail, but most of them are just in it for the money, they're in it for their own business, and they're never going to share with you these intimate details about the actual direct mail marketing business. But I will tell you from firsthand experience and having made millions and millions of dollars just with direct mail marketing and no other type of marketing, this is well worth the time and effort to sink into doing this because there's nothing that can hold a candle to the amount of profits that you can make by just doing this and this alone. So maybe you just decide, maybe you are up there in age and you're just like, you know what, screw it. I don't want to do Facebook. I don't want to do any of that crap. I want to do it old school style. And I want to see if I can still make money doing it. Yes, you can make money still doing it. In fact, more money now than you were able to before, because there are fewer people doing it now because of the online, the lure of the online. You know what the online stuff reminds me of? It reminds me of the sirens in Homer's Odyssey. And what was the coolest thing about Homer's Odyssey is that when I went to Sicily this last summer, I was there in August, I actually saw some of the old Greek ruins because I don't know if you're familiar, but Sicily was part of Greece back in the day. And Homer's Odyssey was one of my favorite books in junior high school. And I just felt like I was there in Homer's Odyssey when I was there at the Greek ruins in Sicily. And it's so weird because in that story they talk about the sirens and how the sirens just kind of lure the sailors. They're like the singing mermaids or whatever the hell they were, and then they turned into monsters and ended up eating all the sailors that got too close. That's what the internet is, folks. The internet is the sirens. The sirens that are singing the tune, everything's so great and easy and cheap and wonderful and everybody's making money. But when you actually start digging into it as a marketer and as experienced as I am as a marketer, I will tell you, it's nothing like what they say it is. It's nothing. It's a pain in the ass. You got to constantly change your strategies, constantly, almost daily. Once you find a marketing strategy that finally starts to work, they'll change the algorithms on you, or they'll kick you off or ban you and disallow you from advertising because, you know, some bot somewhere decided that it didn't like the language you used in your website or whatever the hell their issue is of that week. And if you try to call somebody, good luck, because nobody will ever take your phone calls. And then even if you do get somebody on the phone or somebody to email you back, they will refer you to a list of all the 1,001 things you could potentially be in violation of, and then it's up to you to, you know, play where's Waldo and try to figure out what the hell they're even talking about. And it's frustrating as all hell. So the internet and internet marketing is the sirens in Homer's Odyssey, where it sounds so beautiful and wonderful. And then when you get there and you get close enough, the internet will actually eat you alive. So just keep that in mind when you are seduced by the internet being the end all, free for all, you know, be everything type of methodology for marketing. Yes, you should use it. Yes, you could use it. Yes, you can get started doing it. But don't be surprised if you're ripping your hair out after about a week or two, because things are changing too quickly. Facebook allows your ad one day, the next day it kicks you off. So you have to have some backup. And if you want a consistent income that you can set your watch to, the only way to make that work and make that happen is to use offline marketing strategies. And I recommend direct mail marketing first and foremost in that. So I hope that kind of gives you a crash course on all of the marketing strategies that I use. And I have to say, by far, the easiest one to use would be your direct mail marketing, because it's evergreen. You can kick out the same postcard for the next 10 years and it'll work extremely well. You know, you can't do that with online marketing. There's no way. You'd be lucky if you can keep the same Facebook posting ad for a solid 7 to 10 days before they're ripping it off or telling you can't do it, or before the click goes from, 10 cents to $300 a click. Things are just too iffy, and it's like walking on quicksand whenever you do any kind of internet marketing. So keep that in mind when you start to piece together exactly what you want to do to start building your multi-million-dollar empire. All right, everybody, this is Monica Main signing off. I'll see you at the top.